Hello everyone, warm good evening to all of you. This is a beautiful Sunday and we are here on season 3 of ICanCaRe Sunday Live with a great theme today, Break the Bias by Empowering Women Against the Tobacco Outrage. This is a theme for this evening and here we are celebrating this beautiful day on the just right before the International Women's Day, which is celebrated on 8th of March across the globe. So we have with us elite guests, astute women from across the country who have had real dexterity and marvelous achievements in their lifetime and have showcased us that what exactly is women empowerment and liberalization and how the leadership and choosing the right direction can give us great success when we move ahead. I would like to thank all our event partners for being tirelessly working throughout the entire month to make this event really successful. Chandigarh University, Azura, Salam Namaste, Dr. Texas, Kite University, Ek Prayas, Healthy India Alliance, ICanCaRe Foundation, IDA, Women Doctors Welfare Association, and RSD Academy. I also thank the presence of residents from JP Wishtown, Sector 128, Noida, for joining us on this beautiful day. I also thank our media partner, Dr. Texas, for telecasting this event on the platform so that more women can get to know about this enthralling and great session which we're going to have today. Before we formally begin, I would request everyone to please keep yourselves on mute. If you want to say something, raise your hand. The chat box is available to ask questions always. We're going to take an open house towards the end of the session and ensure that you're there in the right mode because this is being recorded and telecasted on multiple platforms. Any breach can lead to actions against the breach. I take this privilege to introduce the elite guests of the day. The chief guest was Mrs. Preeti Sudan, IAS, and former Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Chairperson for the panel discussion, Dr. Meera Aghi. Behavioral scientist and communications expert. Guest of honor, Dr. Colonel Amit Garg, Director for Kite Group of Institutions. I also mark the presence of a special guest, Dr. T.K. Rath, will be joining us shortly, who has been the former chief of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Institute Rotary Cancer Hospital and AIMS. Here we are celebrating the panel discussion today with our elite panelists on the board, and to name a few, they are Dr. Jagdish Kaur, advisor of WHCRO from Tobacco Free Initiative, Dr. Neelam Lekhi, founder of Women Doctors Welfare Association, Advocate Purnima Panda, member, Bench of Magistrates and Child Welfare Committee, Delhi, Mrs. Renu Sehgal, President of Sahayata Charitable Welfare Society, Dr. Shalini Singh, Director of NICPR from ICMR, Dr. Smita Deshpande, Professor and Head Psychiatrist at St. John's College, St. John's Hospital, Professor Sunila Garg, Director of Community Medicine, Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi, and Pravesh Singh, our lovely Tobacco Marshal, President of Ek Prayas from Kite Group of Institutions. Lead organizers for the evening, thank you so much for making this event really successful. I thank Mrs. Sonal Bhatia, District Chairman from Inner Wheel District 310, Dr. Gitika Sharma, Commander of ICanCaRe and East Delhi Convener for CDH IDA East Delhi, Dr. Manisha, Director of ICanCaRe Women Health Initiative, Dr. Reena Kumar, Academic Director, ICanCaRe. Host for the evening who have really made this successful, Dr. Pawan Gupta, Founder and Director of Head and Neck, Founder of ICanCaRe, Director of Surgical Oncology, Max Hospital, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President from SIPHER, Chandigarh, and Professor Rajendra Pratap Gupta, Founder, Health Parliament. This entire webinar has been an amalgamation and joint effort of ICanCaRe, SIPHER, and the Health Parliament, and Inner Wheel District 310. Women of today are extremely versatile with numerous responsibilities coming up to them. They are full of ideas, full of activities from both the household as well as the workplace. So now is a great time that we should really break the bias. I request everyone to please switch on their videos, have a sign like this, break the bias. We're going to have a group picture quickly because we're going to say to the world that yes, actually we're going to break the bias and bring about a great change. So I'll request everyone if you can please make the sign, break the bias. I'll request everyone, please quickly switch on your videos, have the sign, break the bias. Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone, please have the sign, and I'm going to click the picture on the count of 3. Ready, everyone? Big smile, please. On the count of 3, 2, 1, and go. Here we take the picture. You break the bias today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've taken the screenshot, and I'm going to share it with you. Thank you so much. Now we move ahead, and I would like to invite Dr. Rakesh Gupta, who is President and Director of Public Health, Strategic Institute of Public Health Education, Chandigarh, to give the opening remarks. Sir has been an ophthalmologist with more than 35 years of experience, had more than successful 500 eye operational camps, and has been the former Deputy Director, Ncd's Director Health Services and Director of Chemical Examiner Lab, Government of Punjab, Chandigarh. Over to you, sir.
So thank you, Shruti, and welcome all guests and all the participants. And some of the participants, they may be on YouTube and even on the Facebook. So can you just put on the slides, Shruti?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please put on the slides. So my introductory remarks on the issue, the challenges, they are different for women using tobacco, which is one of the most important avoidable risk factors for premature death, disease in women all over the world. So women, the use of tobacco that needs a special attention in health agendas, and tobacco smoking as well as smokeless use is the single leading preventable cause of death globally. It is estimated to cause about 3,700 deaths per day and 1.35 million deaths in India every year just because of the tobacco use. So according to the GATS 2 survey, so there are about 14.2% females who are the current tobacco users. And tobacco is the only legal product which kills 50% of its users. And about 200 million of world's 1 billion smokers, they are women. The tobacco industry that aggressively targets women in order to increase its consumer base and to replace those consumers who quit or who die prematurely from cancer, heart attack, stroke, emphysema, or other tobacco related diseases. Girls and the boys, they start using tobacco for different reasons, and tobacco use that harms women and men differently. Many more girls than boys, they smoke in the false belief that it is a good way to control weight. As you know, when the tobacco cessation is there, you tend to gain a little weight. So tobacco control strategies, they must recognize that boys and girls, the scenes to start using tobacco, they are influenced by different cultural, psychosocial, and socioeconomic factors. So among men, the three most commonly used tobacco products, they are Cani, Bidi, and Gutka. But among women, the three most commonly used tobacco, they are the betel quid tobacco, tobacco for oral application, and Cani. Smoking is largely a problem among the men. However, use of smokeless tobacco is quite widespread among both men and women. And in India, I must say that smokeless tobacco is more of a problem than smoking tobacco. The tobacco industry that gears richly funded marketing campaigns towards women through advertisements that draw on gender stereotypes and falsely link tobacco use to concepts of beauty, prestige, and freedom. The industry actively targets women because comparatively few women they currently use tobacco, and women, they are increasingly able to afford tobacco. So they tend to focus on women. Marketing strategies lure consumers and misleading categories such as light or low tar. More women than men, they smoke light cigarettes, often in the mistaken belief that light means safer. In fact, light smokers, they often engage in compulsory smoking. They inhale very deeply and more frequently to absorb the desired amount of nicotine. Approximately 1.5 million women that die every year from tobacco use. Understanding and controlling the tobacco epidemic among women, it is an important part of any tobacco control strategy. Therefore, it is necessary to discuss and deliberate on empowering women against tobacco outrage. And I must add that e-cigarette, which is pure nicotine, that is another new age phenomenon. So luckily, because of the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and our leader actually, Madam Preeti Sudan, she made it possible that we could ban tobacco, this e-cigarettes in 2019. So thank you all and welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was very enlightening that we know about how badly it is affecting women, and the industry is targeting women as the new target. With this, now I would like to invite Dr. Pavan, who is founder at ICanCaRe and also head and neck onco-surgeon director at Max Oncology, with numerous initiatives running across the country, numerous books he has authored, and also recipient of multiple awards, including ICD International Awards. Sir, I invite you now to talk about how is tobacco affecting women. So need to unmute yourself. So we can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Shruti, and welcome all guests. I am. It's a real pleasure to be here on this program that is empowering women against tobacco outrage. And how is this outrage actually affecting the women? Means I have a very I see thousands of patients actually, and a lot of these patients who have suffered because of cancer. And when I talk to the spouses, it really means my heart goes to them. They are suffering throughout the day they got married to this person who is taking tobacco. They are mentally tortured, they're physically tortured, socially tortured, and financially tortured as well. There are different groups. I can say that there is a group which is socially well off, then there are groups which are not socially well off. But they are women. The most important, they are women. And the fact is that because of the social acceptability of tobacco, these women have no protection. And today, with the August gathering, and then we have Dr. Purnima, who has been doing a lot of research on this, how to protect women against this tobacco. When I spoke to her, I found that there is no direct law to protect women against tobacco. If she gets married to a person who is taking tobacco, she can't go to any place directly saying that I don't want to stay with this person. Yes, there has to be an awareness. There has to be an empowerment how to deal with this situation. There is no social support. The family doesn't give a support. The family says, "ये चलता है यार, ऐसा तो सभी लोग करते हैं." She is pushed to be tortured the entire life, cleaning, taking care of the diseased person, taking care of the entire family, and that's what she's supposed to be doing, and that's the biggest pity for this women. And that's where I think all the women who have gathered today, they would be talking on how to empower these women. So women needs to be empowered against tobacco. They need to self-protect. That is first number one, from the second hand, third hand, and the fourth hand smoking. They are the savior of the family and the next generation. So they have to be empowered. And the most importantly, they are the influencer in the society. They influence the society in a big way. And women of today have the power and can do a lot. And that is where we at ICanCaRe develop this program, what we call the Tobacco Marshal for the women. And I'm glad that we are now associating with a lot of organizations across India, including the Inner Wheel Club. And we have got Dr. Sonal Bhatia, who has taken the challenge, that 1,000 tobacco marshals from her Inner Wheel Club. And similarly, we are associating with SIPHER. We are also trying to connect with the AIMS. We are connecting with so many organizations to create tobacco marshals in the society, who would be the bridge for for influencing the society not to take tobacco and to enforce that empower that has been given by WHO. So I thank you for this, for all of you joining in, all the women of today, the empowered women, and of course, so we look forward how we can help or how we can create a society which is completely free from tobacco. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that has been really enlightening. Women empowerment as tobacco marshals is really going to change the face of how tobacco is perceived and how well we can work together to control it. With this now, I invite Professor Rajendra Pratap Gupta, who is founder of Health Parliament, a leading public policy expert with vast experience in policy making, to come on the dais. He has been a former advisor to Union Health Minister Government of India and played a key role in drafting of national health policies and national education policies in 2020. He was also nominated by the World Economic Forum on the Global Agenda Council for Digital Health and recognized for his global contributions to healthcare by the Sheriff of Los Angeles. I invite sir now to finally talk about women's health, where is a priority for change.
Shruti, Dr. Rajendra he is not able to join. He just messaged me. He was joined. Maybe he will we can hear him later. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Then we'll go ahead. And now there's a little lovely girl, the little Marshal Adya, who's taken the pledge of how to be the tobacco marshal and take this ahead.
Hello everyone, my name is Adya Jain. I am a little marshal. I will save the youth from tobacco. I will build a tobacco-free India. Jai Hind. Thank you.
That's That's little Adya with her message, and I'm sure that this message is going to inspire a lot many, because when the child takes up the pledge that she's going to be the marshal and the future leader to take tobacco control in her hands, I'm sure women out here who are already willing and set forth to be the chain leaders of tomorrow and start tobacco control and enforcement in the community right away. Now I take this pleasure to invite Sonal Bhatia ma'am. She's a district chairperson of Innerville District 310, a very passionate and extremely active and versatile social activist, recognized as a Diamond Secretary for her extraordinary contribution for welfare activities and projects in her term. She had her journey of being the zonal, the treasurer for the district to being the chairperson of the district in the last 3 years has been absolutely inspiring. She had been the formal zonal literacy club coordinator and the district editor in 2016 and 17. Got the DC Appreciation Award for 28 projects and for the first time published a club magazine, Pragati. I invite Ma'am to talk about Target 1000. What is this campaign and how is it going to help the community? Ma'am, kindly unmute. We are not able to hear.
Thank you, Shruti, and Innerville Naman to all of you. First of all, let me explain you what is Innerville. Innerville is the largest women's voluntary organization in the world, spread it over in 99 countries and with more than 1 lakh members. Our Innerville motto is, Shruti, aage kar do. Our main motto is friendship and service. Our international president, Mrs. Abby Martin, has given us beautiful theme this year, Pink First, which defines the message of equality and empowerment for women. Our association reflects the word Sheroes. Sheroes, she is a hero. Superwoman in each one of us. Build, motivate and grow. S stands for Istri Shakti. Aage Shruti. Next. Yes. S stands for Istri Shakti. H health. E earth care. R refresh. O orphanage and old age home assistant. E learning and old age home assistance. E learning and eradication of social evils. S spreading the wings of Innerville. E eradication of social evils from the society. ये हमारा इस साल का बहुत ही एक मेन है, मतलब हमारा एक गोल है जिसके लिए हमारे सारे क्लब्स they are organizing awareness programs in school and colleges, organizing rallies, clubs are doing street plays, skits to spread awareness. Now we have joined hands with ICanCaRe in Save the Youth campaign and creating Innerville Tobacco Marshals. Because tobacco marshals are the saviors of the society, the most evil tobacco disease in the world, which kills crores of people, and it is because of this evil, so many youth are getting affected. In order to save the youth, we have joined hands with ICanCaRe to create Innerville Tobacco Marshals, because we are the women has a power to change the world. Women are the pioneers of the nation. Women are the key to sustainable development and quality of the life in the family as well as the society. And sir, ma'am, this 1000 target, ये तो बहुत छोटा target है. I want मेरे जो Innerville की each and every woman should stand like a tobacco marshal in the society. And मतलब इस evil को we are going to eradicate with the help of my Sheroes and my tobacco marshals. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. I'm sure this concept, Sheroes, what a beautiful and lovely name, Sheroes, the heroes, the women heroes of tomorrow are going to really make this difference. And I'm sure that with this 1000, with this campaign, we're going to make a great and grave difference to the society. I'm very, very honored now to invite the chief guest for the evening for her talk, and I would request Dr. Rakesh Gupta to kindly introduce ma'am. And before that, I would like to speak about Women's Initiative for Women, for Liberalization, Growth and Action, WILGA. This is a national registered body of professionally qualified members formed to achieve the aim of holistic development and empowerment of women, based on principles of social justice, personal integrity, equal rights and dignity for all, so as to achieve health, economic growth and social change. Bilga has been organizing workshops on women's safety and dignity at various levels, for including Ministry of Health, Government of India, Safdarjung Hospital, Dr. RML Hospital, New Delhi, so on and so forth. And all our elite guests, most of them are members of Bilga and have been doing exclusive work to carry out numerous controls and initiatives and welfare projects in the company. I invite now sir to please introduce ma'am, Preeti ma'am.
Thank you, Shruti. So I requested Shruti to let me introduce Madam Preeti Sudan. She is a former Secretary Health and IS officer of 1983 batch, and she served for almost 3 years as Secretary Health, and she did a lot of work. And it is only because of her that tobacco control that is now in the center stage. She is also a WHO appointed member of the Independent Panel for Pandemic Preparedness and Response. She has a doctorate in economics and social policy and planning from London School of Economics. She has been trained in public finance management in Washington. In public health community, she is well known for some of the remarkable decisions, especially for managing the NCDs, non-communicable diseases. She made a mark as the international chairperson on COP8 and very well known for a comprehensive ban on e-cigarettes by the government of India very recently in 2019. And she is key strategist for during the COVID-19 pandemic. She served as a secretary, Department of Food and Public Distribution, Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Public Distribution, served as a consultant in World Bank, Washington. So welcome you, ma'am. So we'd like to hear from you now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for inviting me and making me part of this very beautiful event. I call it beautiful because I find very committed women on this particular event, and I also find very committed men who will walk hand in hand with us to eradicate this evil of tobacco from India and then subsequently, I'm sure, from the world. So thank you, everybody. And I just want to say that since this event is basically I would say, as a forerunner to the International Women's Day, though I always feel that, every day is Women's Day. However, since you do have an International Women's Day, and this event is a precursor to that day, it's very interesting that women have actually internationally and also nationally led tobacco control. See, it was actually sometime, I would say in the 90s, that Roma teamed up with Alan Taylor of the University of Maryland and initiated the idea of this WHO framework convention on tobacco control, the FCTC. Then it was Gro Harlem Brundtland, who was then DG WHO, who said and felt, and then in also work said that we need an international response to an international problem. Then there was this one lady called Mackay, who was one of the early architects of WHO's FCTC. And then, of course, there was Dr. Chan, DG, who very proudly said that, I wear tobacco's badge. I'm proud to be a big tobacco number 1 enemy, and I regard it as a badge of honor. And we have Dr. Meera here, we have, Dr. Sunila now, and lots of women taking over. And I'm saying this because in the context of International Women's Day only, this is the international scene. But let me tell you that it was in 2003 that FCTC treaty actually came into effect. And India also passed COPTA in 2003. So the international legal framework and the national legal framework actually went hand in hand. And do you know who was the health minister then? It was Dr. Sushma Swaraj. So she, again, a woman, she was the one actually who was very committed, and she was the one during whose tenure this COPTA was passed. The our Indian Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Products Act 2003. Since then, lot of, I would say, efforts have borne fruit. Many of my predecessor speakers have spoken about the disease burden on women in particular. They've spoken about the consumption side, but I'd also like to highlight that on the production side, as per ILO reports, in India alone, 4.5 million BD workers are women, and trade unions, of course, claim that about 7 to 8 million BD workers are there who are women, and they are engaged in BD trade and tend to leave collection, if you take that into account also. And you know that continuous contact with tobacco leads to higher absorption of nicotine, which in the long run can actually damage the respiratory, circulatory, and reproductive system. And it can lead to stillbirths and abortions and reproductive tract infections also. So the burden on women is direct, the women on burden is indirect, and it's a burden that we really need to make women aware of, and that is what the theme of today's event is, and I'm very glad about it. We've heard a lot of good initiatives being taken, and I congratulate the leaders who are doing that. I'd just like to add that, from Government of India side, we have this Health and Wellness Ambassadors program in the school, which we started for, the Ncd screening that we are taking now, organizing in health and wellness centers. So this program also, it actually has a module to train the teachers in wellness, so that the students can become aware of how they should actually be healthy and well. And so it's a preventive promotive program, and tobacco control, how they should not consume tobacco, that is also one of the themes. So that's one area I think that government is working, so that, because I saw a little child who said she's a marshal, and I thought I must mention that. Then secondly, we do this Ncd screening, as I said, in health and wellness center. So one of the important things is the 3 cancers, the breast cancer, cervical cancer, and oral cancer. So before that, there is a community-based survey that is done. And one of the top questions asked is that does anybody in the family smoke tobacco? If it is, then, our ASHA, our ANM is supposed to create awareness. Apart from that, since we have a lot of committed women here and we have a lot of committed groups here, I'd like to say, please engage with the self-help groups in the villages, because that's one way of moving forward. The inner wheel and all, we are dealing with the urban, we must deal with rural areas also. So, we have a very strong self-help group movement in our country. So let's use them. Let's make them also champions or marshals. Let's also ensure, just as we have for TB, we have TB champions. We have also, mitras who help in our various programs. So we can make anti-tobacco mitra who can go around and help us to sort of garner community awareness against tobacco. Of course, I have officially suggested that we should have Gram Sabha around tobacco control also. So these are some of the things that we can do, and I'm sure that the deliberations of today, there is an excellent panel, very, very well qualified and committed panel. Sorry, I won't be here to hear all of them, my loss. As I told you, I have a personal commitment, but I wish this event a great success, and many thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that was full of inspiration and awe-inspiring, with so many ideas coming up for tobacco control, especially the concept of marshals and also the anti-tobacco mitras who are going to really work around the country with the self-help groups to make a difference. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. And We now move ahead towards the panel discussion, and I'm extremely happy to introduce the moderator and chairperson for the evening. We have with us Dr. Meera Agi, who will be chairing the session. Ma'am is a behavioral scientist and communication expert affiliated to Hillis Seksare Institute of Public Health. She has received a PhD in psychology in 1969 from Loyola University and has been the honorary professorship from Universidad del Salvador, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Training in communication research in 1972 with specialization in educational material production from Children's Television Workshop, New York. And the moderator for the panel discussion is Dr. Reena R. Kumar, our academic director, also the regional clinical advisor for Special Olympics Asia Pacific, former dean of a dental school with more than 40 years of experience and an extremely versatile leader herself. I invite Dr. Manisha Pandey, Director of Women Health Initiative in ICanCaRe, to introduce the panelists for the evening.
Thank you, Shruti. Very, very warm namaskar and good evening to all the esteemed guests who are connected online. And I have the pleasure of introducing our very, very learned panelists. First of all, we have Dr. Jagdish Kaur. Shruti, has Dr. Kaur joined us?
I'm checking.
Yeah. So we have with us Dr. Jagdish Kaur, who is the Regional Advisor, Tobacco Free Initiative, WHO Regional Office for Southeast Asia, a public health expert trained in global tobacco control from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, USA, with extensive experience in tobacco control and NCD's control in India, and also at the global level. Dr. Kaur has worked with the Ministry of Health, Government of India, where she spearheaded the development and implementation of several national health programs and was part of various high-level committees of the government. She has published various research papers in national and international journals and has a long-standing experience in tobacco and NCD surveillance at the national level. We also have with us Dr. Neelam Lekhi ma'am, founder Women Doctors Welfare Association. Dr. Lekhi is the chairperson of Women Doctor Welfare Association. She is a senior vice president of Delhi Medical Association, the Women Doctors wing of IMA. She is ex-president IMA East Delhi, and very importantly, she is the ex-chairperson IMA Mission Pink Health. Welcome, ma'am, to the program. Shruti, next slide, please. Yes. We have with us Dr. Poonman Panda, who is a member, Bench of Magistrates in Child Welfare Committee, Delhi, since January 2021. She has worked with Delhi Commission of Women from 2017 to 2020, served in Rape Crisis Cell as legal counsel at POCSO Court, Special Fast Track Court, Patiala House and Juvenile Justice Board. Madam has served as legal research consultant with Multiple Action Research Group from 2016 to 17 and has been involved in legal research and training on RTE, POCSO, RTI, sexual harassment, transgender rights and domestic violence. Definitely, we are going to learn a lot from ma'am here. I also have the pleasure of introducing Mrs. Renu Sehgal. She is President Sahayata Charitable Welfare Society since its inception in 1997. She is a former General Secretary of CSCI for 2 terms, is the former Chief Architect of Chandigarh, recipient of Victor Award by WeCare Mumbai. Shruti, next slide. Yes. We have also with us Dr. Shalini Singh, Madam, Director, NICPR, ICMR. She is the Director, FCTC Global Knowledge Group.
चक्र भी बनाया जाता है ना जगह नहीं
Yes. Yes. So we have with us Dr. Shalini Singh, Director NICPR. She is Director FCTC Global Knowledge Hub on Smokeless Tobacco. She is Director National Tobacco Testing Lab, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of India. With a clinician with more than 3 decades of work experience, she has been an avid researcher and a research administrator at ICMR. She is trained in bioethics with extensive experience in conceptualizing, designing, and coordinating coordinating public health research across India. Her current areas of work include capacity building of different cadres of healthcare providers for screening and early management of oral, breast, and cervical cancer. The very, very important cancers which are also preventable, research on SLT, supporting cessation interventions and establishing models for prevention of NCDs. Madam, we are privileged to have you here. We also have Dr. Smita Deshpande, Professor and Senior Consultant at Center of Excellence in Mental Health, Dr. RML Hospital, New Delhi. She's a senior specialist in psychiatrist in Central Health Services, Ministry of Health, Government of India since 1995, has more than 280 publications, is a founder member of Rashmi, that is the Research, Advocacy, Support and Help for the Mentally Ill Patient Advocacy and Self-Help Group, and also an honorary member of Sri Sai Manavothan Sanstha, an NGO non-profit organization formed for the care of indigent mentally ill people. Madam, we are going to learn a lot from here regarding tobacco cessation programs. We are privileged to have with us Professor Sunila Garg, Director, Community Health, MAMC, New Delhi, and is a Senior Administrator at Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Madam is National President, IAPSM, that is the Indian Association of Preventive and Social Medicine, is the National President of OMAG, Organized Medicine, Academic Guild of Professional Medical Organizations in India, Professor par excellence. She is the ex-head Sub-Dean, MAMC, and Head Community Medical Services, Faculty of Medical Sciences, DU. She is also a Fellow in HIV Medicine, WHO, and a Fellow DFID, Honorary Secretary General and Director of Sound Hearing 2030. She is Advisor to ICMR Member Task Force and Advisor CBM. We welcome you, ma'am, and as you already mentioned, you all are members of BILGA. We would love to know more about it in the current times and be a member as well. I also present before you Mrs. Pravesh Singh, President, Ek Prayas Kate Group of Institutions, an academician. She is also India's first Tobacco Marshal and is passionately involved in showing light to many in the field of tobacco cessation. Shruti, next slide. Welcome, Madam Pravesh.
Ma'am, I think I will hand it over to our moderator.
And yes, not to forget Mrs. Sonal Bhatia, the all-encompassing presence. And now I would invite Dr. Reena to hand over this fiery and very, very illustrious panel for the discussion. Dr. Reena, please.
Thank you so much, Manisha. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Shruti. Warm good evening to all of you, and on behalf of ICanCaRe, it is indeed a pleasure for me to welcome our eminent dignitaries today, our guests, our panelists, to this panel discussion in the background of the International Women's Day with a focus on tobacco pandemic. As we celebrate this International Day of Women, it becomes increasingly important to highlight the current and future role of women in driving change for sustainability in health and well-being. Our chief guest just a few minutes ago spoke so beautifully, Dr. Preeti Sudan, showcased the entire role of women who are the change makers, who are the driving force in tobacco control policy from historically backwards all the way, both internationally and nationally. And I think the way is ahead. So as we recognize the contribution of women and girls towards the world, I think our mission is today to assist women to be in a position of power to make informed decisions about their health and well-being. This panel, I'm sure, will deliberate to converge on the way ahead, the way to fill the gap, to build an empowered gender-responsive initiative against women outrage led by women and girls as powerful leaders. Before we begin, it is indeed my pleasure to invite our chairperson, very beloved, very loved, and very revered, Dr. Meera Aghi, to set the stage for the panel discussion this evening. Madam Meera.
Ma'am, Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself, ma'am. We can't hear you.
Madam, we can't hear you. If you'd just like to unmute yourself. Dr. Rakesh, you are missing out on very valuable words.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was saying to Reena that I don't want to take any time to talk about what I think. I think that there are superb women on this panel and we want to listen to them. At the fag end, if there is any time, I will certainly put in a few words, but I would really want to listen to these powerful women who are all here and who are so very frank and so very gracious in their contribution that, you know, I do not want to become a bridge between them and the audiences. For example, you know, I want Jagdish to tell us about Vilda. You know, it's such a powerful organization and she is a powerful woman, and I want people to listen to her and understand what she is doing. There is Smita, you know, we both, you know, I know some of them personally, and I think that I am so awed by them that I want them to say things which they have to say, which are so very important. And then at the end, as I said, if there is anything unsaid, I will say it. I don't think there is going to be, but we will try. Okay?
Thank you, Dr. Meera. I think graciousness is thy name, and it is very well, you know, understood why it is so. So I welcome all of you once again to this panel, and we have with us the illustrious Mrs. Sonal Bhatia. Mrs. Sonal Bhatia, we are so delighted with your, you know, initiative from our Inner Wheel Club 310. And I see that these Shiros are something which is, you know, just amazing. And what I understand about the Target 1000 is something that is really heartwarming, you know, that you're making 1,000 people coming out in different areas, in different fields, in different causes, which are so important. So today I'd like to bring to you, what are the challenges that you're facing to achieve Target 1000? And why do you think there are challenges, especially when, you know, everybody should be jumping across borders to come across and do this? And how do you plan to actually overcome these? Madam Sonal.
So main challenge is that many teenagers are getting into this habit. Nicotine being highly addictive, once consumed, body demands more and more. अगर एक बार किसी ने एक सिगरेट भी पी ली, तो उसका मन करेगा कि हम उसको दोबारा से पिएं. Some people think it helps control weight, reduce stress. Symbol of fashion. आजकल सिगरेट पीना एक symbol of fashion बन गया है. Using of tobacco is socially acceptable norm. कोई भी आजकल के टाइम में इसे गलत नहीं मानता. जैसा कि अभी डॉक्टर पवन जी ने हमें बताया था कि अगर किसी लड़की की शादी होती है और उसका हस्बैंड सिगरेट पीता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं उसको, अगर वो अपनी माँ को भी जाके बताती है तो हम माँ उसको कहती है कोई बात नहीं. तो इसके लिए मतलब शी हैज टू सफर होल लाइफ, उसको ही गर्ल को ही सफर करना पड़ता है. क्यूरियस एक्सपेरिमेंटल बेसिस पे लोग इसे ट्राई करते हैं, पीयर प्रेशर की वजह से इसको ट्राई करते हैं. एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स जो हमारे आजकल हम बहुत एड्स देख रहे हैं, उसमें भी मतलब ये इतनी हमें अट्रैक्टिव लगती हैं जो एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स होती हैं, इसकी वजह से भी यूथ इसकी तरफ इन्वॉल्व हो रहा है. मेन बॉलीवुड क्रिकेटर्स, ये सब जब हम देखते हैं उनको स्क्रीन पर करते हुए, तो हमारे बच्चे इसके अंदर इन्वॉल्व होते चले जा रहे हैं. पेरेंट्स, उन बच्चों के पेरेंट्स जो मतलब कई बच्चों के पेरेंट्स जब इसको मतलब उनको ये हैबिट जो है अपने पेरेंट्स से आती है. फ्रेंड्स स्मोक करते हैं, उनसे ये हैबिट आ रही है. तो हमारा ये मतलब एक मोटो है टू क्रिएट मतलब बिल्कुल स्मोकलेस एनवायरनमेंट. इसी वजह से वी हैव टारगेटेड 1000 एंड आई वांट कि हमारे एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट का एक विमेन शुड बी ट्रेन्ड एज टोबैको मार्शल, और वो स्टैंड करेगी हमारी पूरी सोसाइटी में. एंड इस इविल को हम पूरी तरीके से अपने शिरोज की हेल्प से, मैं अपने पिग स्टार्स की कि help से I will try to eradicate social evil.
I'm sure Dr. Bhatia, Dr. Sonal ji, आप जरूर सफल रहेंगे इसमें, because women for women is the way, and and that is what we are seeing, that how we women and how everybody has to empower them. And I'm quite sure this is going to be the most successful mission, and we're going to make 1,000 people aware of what, the outrage of tobacco is and how they are going to be actually taking this ahead and winning against this in society.
Sir, I want to ask my Shiroz, they are with me or not?
Ji, madam?
I want to ask my Shiroz, my district Shiroz, Pink Stars. I call them Pink Stars. Please write in chat box.
उनकी आवाज सुनाई पड़े हमें, हम उनको बोलिए कि हाँ हम आपके साथ हैं, क्योंकि हम आपके साथ हैं.
Yes, ma'am. We are with you.
Yes.
Very good.
Shiroz are there with me, so I am definitely going
We all are with you.
Thank you so much, my Pink Stars.
With you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are all there, Sonal, with you. And all the entire Pink Star is there. So now, after this very energizing and very real to life, wonderful initiative coming from so many women saying, yes, we are there. Yes, we are there. Let's have a poll question. Let's have a poll question. So we have a poll question here. Shruti has already put it out for us. So I'm going to read it aloud. And I would like our audience, everybody, to really come up and answer this. So here we have a young lady who gets married and comes to know tobacco use of her partner, which she was not aware of hence earlier. What should this lady do now? Accept her fate, F-A-T-E, and say it's okay, well, that's what I've resigned to. Start using it herself because Pati Parmeshwar, so whatever Pati does, I have to do the same. Object to it. Leave the person. Encourage him to quit.
Yes,
seek social specialist help. Aapki response, please. We need response from everyone.
Yes, we are with you.
Please mark on that. Shruti, are you getting the responses?
Yeah, ma'am, we've launched the poll.
Yeah.
And the options will be visible on the screen. So we'll launch the answer also so that we can see the response.
Okay.
We are not able to see the poll on the screen.
It did flash up for a while.
Yeah, I see it now. Does everybody see it now? I see it.
Yes.
So look at the response which has come in. So at this point, I want to invite Madam Meera. Dr. Meera, this is your expert comments that I require over here, that you need to come in and look at our, audience, how well they have responded to it.
Well, I think that I think that I knew that most of the people, most of these women will say that they will encourage their husband to quit and seek some special help because they are convinced that this can help him. But I think that it would be a good idea for someone to really point out something else. And I would ask, what are the different qualities of the marshal? How do they do that? How do they do that? Would the marshals persuade her husband to quit, or would she do something else?
So Madam Meera has actually, sorry ma'am, sorry.
The word marshal does not seem to signify that this is what she is going to do. Plead with him and tell him that he should seek help, I would like to know how the marshal is going to do it.
Fantastic, madam. Thank you for setting the stage as always and taking and rolling this ahead. The next panelist is somebody very special for me. I really revere her. This is Dr. Jagdish Kaur. Madam, good evening. And this year, the question which goes out to you is actually about gender. Like when we look at it, the year 2022 is actually pivotal for changing gender equality. But gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. But I seem to have my own opinion about this. pardon me, but is it equality? Are we really looking to provide equality or equity? So I hence prefer to use the question for you to be gender equity, because I think there are so many people who need a little extra. Equal is not enough for some, I think. So, madam, my question to you would be gender equity, WHO's approach to empower women against tobacco outrage.
Thank you so much for the question, and good evening, everybody, and apologies for joining a bit late. I had another commitment, it being Sunday, so I could just, join the panel in time. So I think theme itself, speaks a lot about equity and what we are trying to achieve, But insofar as tobacco is concerned, and specifically, you were asking about WHO's approach. So WHO, we don't discriminate among men or women or gender, when we are reaching out to people for tobacco control, tobacco cessation, or otherwise. So starting from the WHO FCTC, Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, and then WHO Empowered Package, which has for opportunity to support tobacco users to quit, and Article 13 of WHO FCTC, Article 14 of WHO FCTC talks about tobacco cessation. Then we have best buys, under the Ncd best buys, which we have for tobacco control. Also, there also we are talking about tobacco cessation. So everywhere, there is no discrimination that, whether we are trying to reach out to men or women, it's everybody. And for a country like India, if we come to India, and before that, even if we talk about the region, this Southeast Asia region where I work, it's one of the region having highest burden of tobacco. It is housing 1/4 of global population, more than 80% of smokeless tobacco users, most of them women, and then I think almost 20% of smokers. And India is the second largest consumer of tobacco. And here also, women consume smokeless tobacco. And recently we saw that trend towards smoking, women into smoking, it's rising now. So in countries like Bangladesh and Maldives, Timor-Leste, Timor-Leste is a small island nation, but they have almost 30% of their women using smokeless tobacco, highest in the region. So all these countries, except Thailand, Indonesia, Indonesia women don't smoke much, but Thailand they do. So it depends. It varies from country to country. So women, using smokeless tobacco or smoking. So otherwise also for control, I don't want to push it to women. Like it being their role. So what is to be done for tobacco control? It is everybody's business. For the region which is having the highest burden, for a country which is the second largest consumer of tobacco in the world, tobacco control is everybody's business. And I think that is equity. We cannot just say that, we will just push it on women that, they have some specific role or they have a larger role to play, because why we should be burdening them? It is everybody's role, every youth, every woman, every man, and they have to work for it. And like we said that, somebody pointed out that nicotine is highly addictive. Dr. Smita is there, subject expert with us. So one of the highly addictive substance, which is a norm, it's part of your socio-cultural milieu. People are using it in different forms. And then, it becomes everybody's duty. And for WHO specifically, all our policies, it goes out to everybody. It addresses everybody. It calls for everybody's role in cessation. And most of us here have been involved in tobacco cessation in one or the other forms and working together, be it WHO, be it governments, be it, civil society. So we say that, it is whole of government's approach. It is all the departments, not only health, it is whole of society approach, where everybody, all the partners, they are working together and for tobacco control at different levels, starting from the individual level to community level to country level, then region or international. But one thing which we have just come up with is Tobacco Cessation App. It can be downloaded by anybody. We have earlier also tools, evidence-based for cessation, but this one is latest, which the region came out in February, and we have tried to promote it everywhere. And this is an app which can be, it's for both Android and iPhone, and this is WHO Quit Tobacco app. So anyone who wants to, quit can download this app and take the help. So this is based on the policies which are accepted. So I think that is what I have to say, and if and I have done justice to the question, or if there are further queries, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so very much. I couldn't agree more that tobacco cessation, tobacco control is not just one person's or one department's domain. It is a responsibility of every human being. But sometimes women being the, at least in our part of the world, where the women have not had a voice which was really very heard very much, I believe an empowerment for these women, that is, I would say, is the equity which we have to give them a little extra more than the equal, such that they can voice up and they can ramp up and be heard and be spoken, learn and, be aware. So I so agree with you, madam. Thank you so much for being here despite your busy schedule, and really appreciate that. Our next panelist is, it's a very interesting question that I seem to have lost. Just give me a minute. I seem to have lost out completely. I can't see. I think it's okay. Probably if I can't see anybody, but I think everybody can see me.
Reena, I can see. I can see the question is for me.
Yeah, that's for you. Then let me read it out, because I can't see people, but I can see the question. So that's great.
Okay.
So Dr. Shalini, it's great to have you here, and your research that you have been doing. So what I really would like to see is that understand, because women in chewable tobacco, there is such a large percentage, about 2 crore people are using SLT, and women amongst them. And so what is your experience and about the health effects of this, especially as a scientist? And I would like you to just probably give us a little setting on the research priorities, the policy agenda, and with a focus on women to achieve national targets for tobacco control for our SDG goal number 3, which I think we are all looking at it. And that's what we are aiming at. Dr. Shalini, it's a pleasure to have you here. That's great. I can see everybody.
Thanks, Reena. Let me begin by saying that our institute is also the WHO FCTC Knowledge Hub for Smokeless Tobacco. And we've started working because smokeless tobacco use, as Dr. Jagdish Kaur mentioned, India is contributing to nearly 80% of the smokeless tobacco use in the world. And so to understand, what we need to understand the demographics and also the socio-cultural context of the use of smokeless tobacco in various parts of the country. So what we've done secondary analysis of the NFHS data, the GATS data, and also we have published a white paper on smokeless tobacco and women's health in the Indian Journal of Medical Research, the IJMR, in 2020. And as you would know that according to the latest NFHS 5 survey, it says that about 9% of women in the reproductive age group, they consume some form of tobacco. So here we are leaving out the women over 49 years of age. So these are the kind of fallacies which occur when we are taking some data like that. But also to mention, as it was pointed out earlier by Dr. Preeti Sudan, that more women in the rural areas are consuming tobacco than in the urban areas. So it's about 5.4 in the urban areas and 11% in the rural areas. So here again, as somebody else was mentioning, that we need to focus on these, the tobacco marshals and the mitras also in the rural areas. So the self-help groups, as was mentioned. Now, we also need to understand where is the highest burden of these tobacco use. So we have seen that we have mapped it out, and we've seen that 163 districts of India, is where the highest burden of smokeless tobacco is, and where 1 in every 10 women use smokeless tobacco. Now, again, further when we go, we see that in states like Odisha, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Maharashtra, and Jharkhand, 1 in 5 women consume smokeless tobacco. So accordingly, we have to make our strategies in a manner that we are going to target where we have the maximum number of women using it. And also, what kind of products are they using? So we found that they're using either betel quid with tobacco, or they're using gul or keni or gutka. Gul is very prominent amongst women. And of course, as it was already mentioned, that they use it because it's socially acceptable and gives it also, decreases their appetite. So those women who are poor, to decrease the appetite, and they feel some energy, so they can carry on their work while they do not have enough food to eat. So that has also been found. And also we need to understand that the age of initiation of smokeless tobacco was 15 years or lower in more girls than in boys, which means that more girls initiate tobacco use at a younger age as compared to boys. Then moving on, about pregnant and lactating women. So nearly 4% of pregnant women are using smokeless tobacco in our country, and states like Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Odisha is where more than 35% of pregnant women were using smokeless tobacco. And often the women use it in the early trimester, when they feel that the nausea, vomiting, and all these kind of things will be less, and they have some kind of a mood elevation, but they go on to continue it. Some women do stop using smokeless tobacco when they are advised during pregnancy, but the sad part is less than half of the women who are using tobacco get advised by their doctors to stop, as compared to 61% in men. So more men are being told not to use. Women are not even being asked whether they are using tobacco or not. But many women, they continue to use tobacco during lactation. And what needs to be understood is that it passes through breast milk as well as it passes through placenta, and the children can also get affected, including sudden infant death syndrome and cardiac rhythm manifestations in the children. So these are the kind of, we use the data to give us information. I mean, there is also a lot of information on secondhand smoke that we've recently published, and nearly 48% of women are exposed to smoke in workplace or at home. So that, and of these, 26% are pregnant women. So the men also need to consider that when their wives are pregnant, how to, save them from smoke. And as was mentioned, that there are these BD workers. So we've also done some studies in BD workers. So they it affects their pregnancy. So exactly the same results were seen. So of course they can use gloves and all these things, but best is not to indulge while they are pregnant. So towards the end of pregnancy, like third trimester, most women find it difficult to sit down and roll BDs, so they go away from rolling BDs. So that is what we found. And we are also working with pregnant women helping them to quit smokeless tobacco. So those are some of the things that we are doing.
Thank you, Madam. Dr. Shalini, you have really highlighted, the appalling state that of the use and abuse of tobacco that the women are facing. One, because and use in conditions of lactation and pregnancy, which is not just harming them, but also passing on. The need for empowerment and the need for education and the need to create strategies such that we can create, as Dr. Sudhin said, also about mitras and about tobacco marshals who are going to actually be working and taking all the health workers into it. So as you rightly said, you pointed out from statistics of research that, evidence which comes out saying that men are being asked, but women are not even being asked. So the need for women equity in healthcare, especially where tobacco outrage is concerned, whether it is on themselves or because of their spouses, is really the need of the hour. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalini. It's such a pleasure to have you here and for enlightening all of us. So we have a poll question here again, very interesting one, which is right here. So I'll read out the question. So if a woman is made aware of the hazards of tobacco on her health, which is mental, emotional, and physical, the divorce rate would increase, the domestic violence will increase, the use of tobacco amongst women would amongst men would decrease, the future generations would be better, all of the above, none of the above. Can we have what our guests and our from across all the media today would say to us, and how would you come out with this? So we're waiting for your response, please. And Dr. Meera, I'm going to ask you to comment on this because you're our chairperson and a very learned one, because what our population thinks, in which way direction are we headed? So the need for equity.
I actually couldn't unmute myself. I wanted to ask Shalini Singh.
Madam, you still please do so while everybody's answering.
Okay. Shalini, I would like to know the difference between women who take up chewing as opposed to those who take up smoking. Is there anything about the needs of women to do one against the other as the other?
Madam, what we have found is that smoking is more common in the urban areas. It is, and while smokeless tobacco is more common in the rural areas where, women are not that empowered and it's not culturally acceptable to smoke. And also as the age advances, the women may take up hookah or bidi. But when they're the same women, when they're younger, they were not using it themselves. So it increases with age also. So smokeless tobacco use is often taken up after 35 years of age as well. And so it definitely, there's a difference in socio-demographic parameters between people who smoke and those who use smokeless tobacco. And it's mostly the uneducated, the poor, the rural women who use smokeless tobacco as compared to those who smoke.
Thank you, Dr. Shalini. Now, Madam, we have the results of the poll, which is here. But everybody says that the future generation would be better. Most of the people, 59% is agreeing on the future generation would be better. But there is 25% which says all of the above, and 2% believe that's none of the above. So if women were made aware of the hazards of tobacco on her health, which would be mental, emotional, and physical, so how would that happen? One would be through empowerment, through education, to skill up, to making people actually talking to them and figuring out. So our audience poll speaks like this and says that, there is 59% which says that the future generation would be better, which is absolutely right, which is so right. So we move on to Dr. Sunila Garg. Madam, it's a pleasure to have you here today. So as a public, I'm sorry.
Dr. Smita.
Yeah, I just had I had an interesting observation to make that
yes,
at least 12% of people felt that if women became more aware of tobacco harms on their own body, the men also would reduce their tobacco intake. And that's a wonderful finding. That's a very wonderful observation. And indeed, it is true. We learn by example and we learn by modeling.
Yes, absolutely, madam. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Smita, Dr. Smita. So, Dr. Sunila, as we go on, so from a public health perspective, so as a public health expert, the question put out to you is to provide us the statistics about tobacco use, though we have heard quite a bit from our previous panelists, and abuse amongst women. What is your strategy to empower them? Because you are out there and you are seeing things and you are able to perceive and also record what is going on and what is the need. So how do you plan to take this ahead? Madam, all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think one of the important things which was pointed out by Dr. Jagdish and Dr. Shalini is about the data. You see, there is no denial of the fact that, particularly in urban areas, it's the smoked form of tobacco which is increasing. And in the rural areas, it is the smokeless form of tobacco. And a lot of it has got to do with the, myths and misconceptions and socio-cultural norms which has been existing. And as was pointed out earlier, that as the age advances, quite a number of women, they also take some smokeless form of tobacco because of the fact that it is helping us in digestion, it removes the gaseous distension and all that. But let me tell you, the beginning is from we are in the midst of doing one of the study known as ESTA, addressing smokeless tobacco in Asia, where we worked on the youth, and also we working on the point of sales. What it pointed out was that as early as the children who are there in 5th class onwards, they start consuming the smokeless form of tobacco as well, because as the institutions are declaring themselves, or when it is there in the as a school policy, it is said that smoking is injurious to health and all that, smoked form of tobacco is seen less. But nonetheless, coming from a public health perspective, let me tell you, as a national president of Indian and Preventive and Social Medicine, and as President OMAG, which is a combination of 15 professional associations, which also involves FOGSI, which also involves obs and gynae and pediatrics, or emergency medicine, surgeons, orthopedics and all that. So there is a cross-cutting integration between different associations as well. Because if Public Health Association talks about, the same has to be talked about, by FOGSI, as Dr. Shalini already pointed out about the harmful effects of tobacco in amongst women, but also amongst families. It is not only that. Basically, when we are talking from a women's perspective, we are also talking about the birth outcomes and all that, prematurity, low birth weight and all that. But having said so, I will also like to say that we have come out recently with the advisory, which was released in the conference just 2 days back, where we talked about the short-term indicators, mid-term indicators and long-term indicators with regard to involvement of academic institutions. That means, in short-term indicators, all the academic institutions, particularly when we are talking of medical institutions, especially, the public health departments, they have to come out with that they have a tobacco control policy in the institution, with having a nodal officer, which has been appointed out and which has been countersigned by the heads of the institution. So you see, that is one thing. And simultaneously, the institutions, they start working on the competency-based curriculum. So in the second year, when we go ahead, the curriculum, is incorporated in the teaching of the undergraduates as well as postgraduates. Now you all know that, I don't know, many of you are aware of or not. Now we are talking of, empowering our medical graduates across with the core competencies, where the student can demonstrate not only know-how, that he knows that smoking is, kind of injurious to health, but he can show and he can perform, the cessation activities and all that. He can demonstrate how he can counsel the person immediately. So in the long-term indicators are that basically when we declare the institutions as, tobacco-free institutions. So this is our long-term. So the strategies for each are well defined. So it is important to know that, that's how the academic institutions have got a very, very critical role to play. Another important thing which I wanted to say was that I was as a young medical, I'll say, faculty member, when the country was striving hard to fight against polio, we had a polio Unmulan Sena. So that is how, that means we created a workforce which was fighting against polio. So same thing we have to do. You see, the children are messengers of change. If a girl or a boy who is educated comes back home and tells the parents, not to smoke, I think that is going to be, very, very effective. We have got a lot of public health initiatives like saying no to crackers and all that. That is going to be very important. But it is not the one-time change. And as I think we will agree that, behavior change is something which has to be, time and again re-emphasized. And it has got to be a continuous process, because many people who quit again, they go back to that. Another thing which I would like to stress, that no program is successful unless you have involvement of males, because we have said that we must empower women. But you see, the decision making, we say it's a Purush Pradhan Desh, as of now also, which holds true. So no program is going to be successful unless there is a male involvement also. Majority of our females, even for the normal healthcare checkup, are dependent on the, their male partners as far as the females are concerned. So we need to take males also into consideration. That's how it's going to be a family approach. So basically we need to create awareness. We need to focus upon, our young, I'll say the graduates, postgraduates belonging to different institutions, whether they are medical institutions, nursing institutions, or other academic institutions, so that we can, work towards, the young minds will carry this information forward and we can translate into behavior change. And
so right,
we
so
also
right.
started giving them the problem-based learning, that they identify this as a problem and go to the communities and see that. And also from a research perspective, there are task forces which have been made, to look at the problem amongst women of the reproductive age group also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunila. I think this has been a very comprehensive, all-encompassing answer. I totally agree that, getting our professional students' body involved in not just in the knowledge, but also in the skill and the attitude. And as you said rightly, it is, that they know how to tell, show, and do also. So that part of it, and that they can conduct some things, and which is very important, and to drive change makers. And I again agree with you that there is of course, as I say, there is because today the event just happens to be Women's Day and women empowerment. Yes, and we are looking at women equity, but that equity will only happen when the other gender, that is the male gender, is actually aware. And you are so right in that, and I couldn't agree more with that, because we need to take everybody along. Because just as Dr. Jagdish said and Dr. Everybody said that, it is an issue which everybody has to take it as own it, because you have to own this, and unless it is owned, it is not going to happen. So we have the next question. So I thank you again, Dr. Sunila. Yes, Dr. Meera. Yes, of course, Dr. Meera.
Most of the time I hear people saying, everyone saying that tobacco is injurious to health. But I found that when you are working with the young people, they could care less about health. You have to talk to them about other things, how well they look, how nicely their composure is, how nicely they smell and all that. So I think that you cannot just lump all of them together and say that this is what works with them. I think there are different things which work with different people. Also, I think there are things which work with women and things which work with men. Similarly, I think especially I'm so worried about, the young people. Because whenever people talk about the young, they start with the health, and those people just, become deaf. They are not listening to you because they are not concerned so much about cancer and heart attack and this and that. You have to talk to them about other things.
Thank you, Dr. Meera, for bringing about the talk about being relevant when we are speaking, because being very specific about their age and about their factor and what really affects them. So naturally, they are not going to be able to appreciate something which they do not perceive is going to happen to them in the near future. And regarding your decision to start, yes, it is a very decision making is a very very complex procedure, and why men and women start to use tobacco, as you rightly said, Dr. Meera, is a very complex process. Hence, the decision as to how we have to talk to them so that they change that behavioral thinking and their attitude towards it also has to be modulated as per the relevance of it to the particular person. Thank you, Dr. Meera, because you've really added value to that. Now, my question goes out to Mrs. Renu Sehgal. Renu Sehgal ji, aapka jo this wonderful organization, Sahayata इतनी बढ़िया चीजें कर रहा है, and I really like what you're doing. तो हम ये सोचते हैं कि आप, do you see that सहायता में tobacco एक preventable risk factor for cancer in women? Does your organization visualize this? क्या उनके नजरिया में ये दिखता है कि हाँ, women के cancers के लिए tobacco एक risk factor है जो हम prevent कर सकते बड़े आराम से. So what is Sahayata's strategy to this effect, madam, if you would elucidate us on this?
Yes, Sahayata was started to help cancer patients holistically. And when we started working for patients, financial help, awareness, and other helps with information, so we realized that we can't pinpoint the reason of cancer, but tobacco we can pinpoint. Tobacco is the biggest reason for cancer. So we started doing tobacco awareness, harmful effects of tobacco. And I talked to one or two friends who were taking tobacco regularly, and they sort of got offended. So once they start, I realize once someone starts and is habitual of taking tobacco, it's very difficult to leave. So we started with the young minds before they start, before they are influenced by the peer pressure and other things. So we started in the city. Sahayata works in the city of Chandigarh, but caters to the other states also, patient coming from other states to PGI and Sector 32. So in the Tri-City of Chandigarh, we did a campaign of awareness with the school students. We started a declamation contest every year for the past 10 years. We do a declamation contest on World No Tobacco Day. And more than the response is so encouraging, the more than 100 schools of the Tri-City, they participate. Even from government schools, students come. And they come with such brilliant ideas and they have such knowledge, and I hope, and we do a pledge with them that they will not take tobacco in any form, and they will prevent others to take tobacco. And then we have done awareness in schools, government schools. I think our aim was to cover each and every school of Tri-City and Haryana. We covered many Haryana schools also, boys and girls both. And we scared them and we showed them the pictures of cancer patients with oral cancers and all that. And I think they were very responsive. But after this COVID, the schools were closed, and our campaign was a little, blocked. But now we are again getting active, and we have a target of covering every school, slum areas. We go to villages also, village schools also, and make so that we start with young minds and influence them, because it is very, I have seen from very close quarters, I have seen the loss because of tobacco from very closely. So it is very difficult to convince habitual people to leave. And that is why we started this. And I hope we are able to do some awareness, and young minds, we are able to change the attitude.
Congratulations, Dr. Mrs. Renu Saigal, because it is what we have to do is target the young, because if we target the young, we will prevent them. So it is like we have to be smart to ensure that they do not start, because once they start, as you rightly said, the way back is very difficult one. So it is that our objective should always be to make sure that we are targeting the young away from the manipulation of the tobacco industry, making sure that they are empowered with the right knowledge, with the right attitude, the right skill, and to understand what is the way that, like, let's say we're building brakes in their brains such that they have the ability to say no. And I congratulate you, and we wish your organization the very best so that you're able to incorporate more and more tobacco marshals, which can go ahead into every school, every city, every village, every town in the cities that you are targeting. And at ICanCaRe, and I'm sure every one of us in the panel is going to be there with you.
Each volunteer is a tobacco marshal. Each volunteer is a tobacco marshal. And some of them, if they see someone smoking outside, or they go and tell them that it is so harmful, don't smoke. They do have the courage to say that.
Mr. Saigal, I take the privilege, or rather I take the privilege to say it on behalf of all my panelists, my esteemed panelists, that we are all there, and our good wishes is there for your organization, for the way ahead, because that is the way ahead, that where we're going to empower youngs so that they stop themselves and they are able to help others from stopping. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much. Oh, Shruti has a poll question here lined up for us. So that's really fantastic. So here we have Alka. So now Alka is extremely frustrated and wants her husband, Vivek, to quit smoking. She goes to the extreme to secretly procure some medicines, and starts mixing it in Vivek's food without his knowledge. What do you think? What do you feel? What should happen? Is she right in her approach? She should attempt only when her husband agrees. She should leave her husband and look for her and her children's safety. Accept her and her children's fate. Whatever has happened, and I'm going to just be in this. Only can pray for a long life of the husband. Opinion, please, from our esteemed guests, panelists, everybody, please. It'd be great to hear. Can everybody see the poll?
Yeah, we are getting. So I'm ending the poll.
I'm not getting the form where I can check my answer.
Yeah, okay, so it's come up. The results have come up. So she should attempt only when her husband agrees. That is 55% of our learned gentry here. Everybody says the best thing possible is only to get the husband to agree and then come in. Not a single person, 0% has said that this young lady Alka should be praying for Vivek's health when he's out to kill himself and commit suicide. Accept her and her children's faith? No. So the majority goes that to say this, but there's unfortunately 34% believe that she is right in her approach, which I think outright is outridden by 55% who speak that only when the person agrees can you actually do something. So cessation can only happen when the person moves from pre-contemplation to contemplation, and that has to be with one's own will. It may be internal motivation. Dr. Jagdish, yes, of course. I'm waiting to hear from you. You put up your hand. I'm sorry. How did I miss that?
Thanks so
Yes,
much.
please.
In fact, we would listen to Meeraji also, but almost 1/3 of people, they said that this was the right thing to do. This is not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
The person has to be motivated, and you should know that what is going on. So I don't know, maybe, in fact, that is also, what should I say, in kind of society we live and kind of things people generally do, I mean, they are giving somebody a medicine, I think, as a last resort without his knowledge. So that is not right, and I think we should be very clear about it. And in fact, we have to be very firm about such things, such notions. You cannot do that. That's very clear. Thank you.
That's why we
Absolutely.
need empowerment.
Yes, Dr. Sunila. You were saying something, Dr. Sunila?
No, I said that's why we need to empower her with correct knowledge.
Exactly. She needs to be educated. She needs to be empowered. She needs to have a voice, because apparently she's not having a voice. She's not able to speak to her husband. So she needs to be able to speak up. She needs to be able to speak up knowledgeably. She needs to become a tobacco marshal. She needs to become a tobacco bandhu, whatever she needs to become, but she needs to learn to be able to speak that language so that she can speak to her husband, get him to change, and with his consent, do absolutely the right thing. Get him to bring about tobacco cessation, to stop the habit, the disease, and pray for his good health and stay with the children happily. Dr. Jagdish, yes, please.
Dr. Smith.
No, Dr. Deshpande first, because...
Okay, I didn't see that. All right. It's getting hidden in your emblem. So I'm kind of missing the hand because it's just getting hidden there. I'm sorry for that. I missed it last time also. Yes, Dr. Smita.
No, I entirely agree that one cannot give medicines or any such things to some person without their knowledge. And incidentally, doing this kind of thing is not going to aid his tobacco cessation, because it will not be done with his own insight and knowledge. And apart from that, to save the public from various charlatans and false doctors and people who are out just to fleece the public, there is no such medicine which can be given for tobacco cessation with or without anybody's knowledge. Okay.
Yes.
So let us be clear about that. The most important thing is motivation, and then any kind of medical interventions will come after that.
So right,
we have
Dr.
to build up
Deshpande.
motivation first thing.
So right, Dr. Deshpande. We'll hear Dr. Jagdish Kaur, please.
Yes, I think there's a question in the chat also that what if he refuses to quit? Very right, because obviously there are so many people who will refuse to quit, and it does not only pertain to tobacco, it's alcohol and other substances also. And that's a very, very common problem, when people are having all these things and the wife and the children in the family, they suffer because the man is, addicted to all those things and then he refuses to quit. So here comes, this part where, all these initiatives we are taking as Tobacco Marshals and other things, and we are trying to motivate people, because tobacco, not only it's affecting health of that person, it is affecting health of other people. If it is smoking, because of the second-hand smoke, it affects the family economy. Whatever you are spending on purchasing tobacco products, in a month, if you see, so how much which could go into children's education, food, other necessary things. So, these are the things where people need to be motivated, and it's not easy. I'm not saying that you tell that person, okay, you should quit, and then the person is willing, because it's highly addictive. It is a slow process, but then it has to be initiated. And when the family supports, it becomes easy. When the families, friends, peers, they support that person who's willing to quit. And like we, say that, you have to set a quit date, and it's a very scientific process. And like I said, this app also, it is there, this can be downloaded. And then there are other things, there is toll-free quit line, there is mobile cessation, there are tobacco cessation clinics. So all those things are available. So at least, we can tell that person to try it, give it a try, and if he is able to quit, it will be good for his health, for the family's health, for the family economy, and overall, your overall image as a non-tobacco user. So these are the things we need to, and we definitely agree it's not easy, but then putting the medicines in the food without the knowledge is also not right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish and Dr. Smita. I think what is the most important thing is that tobacco cessation is not a prescription-driven one. That whether it is a prescription which can just be given with the person's consent or not, it is something which cannot be done. There is a much more bigger issue.
I do have a question
involved in there.
This is on the behalf of Rama Shukla, the president of IWC Najibabad.
I'm sorry. Is that somebody speaking? So yes. We'll go on to.
I am. Yes, I am. Do I have to have a say or not?
I don't see you. I'm sorry. Of course, you will have a say, but it's just that I don't know. If you could just introduce yourself, certainly, but a very short one, because we are in the panel and we've not come to the open discussion yet. But I think you are a little.
The president of one club.
Sorry. Yes, of course. That's what I said. That we'll definitely hear you. But
Ramaji, we will wait for a term and
yet.
Yeah, Ramaji, you will have to wait till we have the discussion round.
Yeah. Because the panel is still on.
But this is not the right way. I don't think this is the right way. Is this conducted democratically, please, or not?
Mr. Shukla.
Wait for your time. Please wait for your time, Mr. Shukla.
Shukla ji.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you so much for your understanding, because the ek baar jab panel ho jayegi, definitely it will open up for discussion, and we really appreciate that you have so much to say, because we want to hear from you, because what you have to say is important for us. So Dr. Smita, please keep your microphone on, because we really want to hear from you. So you have a very special role in understanding women's mental health, and especially related to tobacco use by them and abuse from second-hand and third-hand smoke by their spouses. When is the right time to intervene for tobacco cessation, to make her husband tobacco-free, to make the man in her life tobacco-free?
Well, the right time is now. In very brief and in one word, I'd say every time is the right time.
Yesterday, it was the right time yesterday.
Yeah, so just now, because seriously, here the panel of women have been discussing about involving men into the tobacco cessation process, and it's absolutely correct. What we found in our research, amongst tobacco using women with major mental disorders, because I'm a psychiatrist, and people with major mental illnesses have serious disorders of thinking. Because so we wanted to see if women, especially with these kind of disorders, had higher rates of tobacco use, and we did find very high rates. But what was interesting was that those women who were using tobacco were older, had less education, and most of them were, they had picked up their habit from their husbands. And we know from GATS and all other surveys that the rate of tobacco use amongst men is 4 to 5 times that of women. So men act as role models for women using tobacco, especially women with problems in their thinking. And I'm sure if it happens with our women with psychiatric disorders, it definitely does happen for women in the general population. So involving men is important, but involving women is equally or even more important, because the level of knowledge amongst women is even less. I will not say that, organizations should focus only on women. We have to look at the entire environment when we talk about tobacco cessation, but it's important to focus on all ages at all places. Without that, if we work in bubbles, the rates of success are bound to be low. So even in a healthcare environment, right from the community health worker, from the ASHA worker to the most senior doctor, everybody has to have only one message, and that is of quitting tobacco. Tobacco in any form, because for tobacco companies, it's a matter of growth, and sometimes even a matter of life and death, that they don't want to die. But at the same time, they do not understand that their growth impacts on deaths of so many other people. So with that in mind, of course, we have to have a uniform message from all educators, from all teachers, from all healthcare workers, and that is to quit tobacco now. What we also found in our research was that tobacco use affects the mental faculty, the cognitive faculties. The women who were using tobacco did much worse on various tests of cognition than women with the same illness who were not using tobacco. So do not think that using tobacco only affects the body. It also affects the brain and the mind in different ways. And that is in our day, when there is so much dependence on technology, there is so much importance given to thinking and cognition. It is important to know that tobacco affects cognition very adversely, and children, especially who start using tobacco early, women who start early using tobacco, they are definitely at a disadvantage as compared to those who don't. Their health will suffer in every kind of way, not just in terms of physical health, but mental health as well. So the best time to stop is right now.
Thank you, Dr. Smita, for actually
putting the nail. Somebody was talking about, it is so difficult to stop. Of course, it's difficult to stop because nicotine is highly addictive, and people may, relapse again and again. But the importance should not be given to the relapse. The importance should be given to the wish, to the desire to stop.
So right,
and help those who want to stop.
So right. Thank you so much, Dr. Deshpande. Appreciating the desire in the man and the attempt to take that very difficult first step, I think is the first ones we appreciate. As Dr. Meera was also saying, sometimes it is very good to speak the good thing first. Thank you so much. I'm so proud that, congratulations that you stayed quit for 2 days and you went back again. But we are here to help you because we have the knowledge to do so. And as you say that, yes, by putting that hammer literally where it should be, that the right time is today, if not yesterday. It should have been yesterday, but it is today, definitely today, and there is no two way of it. It is just now that it has to be done. And you'd be surprised, and I'm sure you do know it, that in many of our programs and whatever we do, we find that a lot of people are really not aware of the third-hand smoke and the dangers of third-hand smoke. So education on this and empowerment on this has to be, good kind of information should go out. And I think our apps are ready from WHO, ICanCaRe. We all have apps where the information is all given in the correct method and in more acceptable, and with our tobacco marshals going out into the society and actually speaking the empowered way and informing everybody about the harms of secondhand smoke, third-hand smoke, on the family, on the child, on the cognitive development of the child, and also self-cognitions, neurocognitive roles which is going to happen. So what really is going to be it has a big role to play. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Dr. Smita, for this very wonderful answer and being such a wonderful participant. You've been, telling me, and I apologize for not seeing the hand many times. It's getting hidden in that little logo. So we will take the next. Shruti, can we have the question for our
Dr. Shalini and
yes, Dr. Shalini is. I see the raised hand. Yes, I see the raised hand. Dr. Shalini, please.
So, yeah, I just wanted to add that most often the only part which is stressed for tobacco adverse effects is cancer. And people think cancer is not going to come tomorrow or today, it's going to come a little later. So we must also stress upon the other effects of nicotine, and especially the cardiovascular effects of nicotine, because a single drag of a cigarette or smokeless tobacco can raise your blood pressure, can dislodge the plaques, it can lead to a heart attack. And we've seen in the last few days a couple of famous people, kicking the bucket because of tobacco use. So heart attacks are extremely common and they are not depicted as much as they should be. And the cardiovascular hypertension. Also that the nicotine, reverses the effect of the medicines that they're taking for hypertension. So all these things have to be told. And we have seen so many people who have just quit. They were taking 10 to 15 cigarettes or even more in a day. And they have just quit by one advice of the treating cardiologist. So I have umpteen examples like that, and because it was explained to them, the doctors should give time to the patient and to answer their queries. And it's been a very good experience also.
I so agree with you, Doctor. Yes, absolutely. The most teachable moment should never be missed. We should never, and we should do relevant talk, do what is relevant for that patient, because not some faraway long-term story which may not be applicable to the person. Maybe of the 5 hours, the first most important thing is relevance. That is what we need to really put our pin on. And I have Dr. Jagdish waiting to speak. Dr. Jagdish, I'm waiting for you to speak.
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Shalini has raised a very, very important point. It's not just cancer, which we always say and we emphasize. Cardiovascular diseases, a big chunk happening because of, smoking and exposure to smokeless tobacco. And in fact, cities which have gone smoke free, there have been research in US, we don't have any published paper on that. There, this prevalence and incidence of cardiovascular diseases have come down drastically. So this is very important. I think we need that kind of research in this part of the world. But we need to emphasize on cardiovascular diseases because that's a big killer in India and also Southeast Asia region. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdishka. Thank you so much.
Actually, it kills more, cardiovascular complications kills more people when they use tobacco rather than cancer. So that needs to be emphasized.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so very much for educating us and, eliciting this out and bringing it out that the need for relevant talk is very, very important, and we have to be on that. So our next, we have our next panelist, and this is Advocate Poonman Panda. This is, most of us are doctors here, and we are so less educated on this, Purnima, that, we all, I think, waiting to hear from you. So do we have any specific laws to protect a woman from tobacco outrage and the human rights angle? So is there a way that we can, if there is a lady who's going through this emotional, and health and physical torture and torment, so what is the legal right that this woman has who discovers that the partner is a smoker? And of course, the rights of the person who on marriage comes to know, who didn't even know about it, and post-marriage, probably whatever it is, comes to know that there is this tobacco habit in the spouse. So what is the rights? Do we have any, or do we resign to the fate, or do we buy medicines and, you know, mix it in things?
Unmute,
Dr. Purnima, you need to just unmute yourself, please. Very valuable words we can't lose.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And जो क्वेश्चन मुझे पूछा गया है इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमन राइट्स के एंगल से, क्या राइट्स होते हैं वुमेन की यदि उसकी पार्टनर जो हैं वो टबाको यूज करते हैं. सो वन थिंग आई वांट टू से दैट आई थिंक वी ऑल नो दैट देयर इज वन कन्वेंशन दैट इज कन्वेंशन सीडर, the convention of elimination of all kinds of discrimination against women. वो convention, that is a human right convention. Women's right to health is a human right that has been guaranteed through these international agreements. The most important human right instrument for women is Convention on Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, or CEDAW, जिसमें CEDAW इसमें एक आर्टिकल 12 है जो इंश्योर करता है राइट टू हेल्थ ऑफ वुमेन. सो ऑल्दो इसमें कोई स्पेसिफिक मेंशन नहीं हुआ है कि स्मोकिंग इज अगेंस्ट द और इट अफेक्ट्स द राइट टू हेल्थ ऑफ वुमेन, बट इसमें ये है कि सेक्सुअल एंड रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ इज आल्सो की एस्पेक्ट ऑफ वुमेन्स राइट टू हेल्थ, और उसको आगे लेकर इट इज मोर इलाबोरेटली नरेटेड एक्चुअली इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ व्हाट इज राइट टू हेल्थ इन वुमेन स्पेसिफिक वे बाय ऑफिस ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशंस हाई कमिश्नर फॉर ह्यूमन राइट्स. सो उनका जो फैक्ट शीट है उसमें उन्होंने मोर इलाबोरेटली उसको डिस्क्राइब किया है कि राइट टू हेल्थ ऑफ वुमेन का क्या क्या राइट्स हैं जो उसको इंश्योर किया जा सकता है थ्रू दिस इंटरनेशनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट. वर्क प्लेस में सेकेंड हैंड जो स्मोकिंग है उसको इंश्योर कैसे किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि एक प्रेग्नेंट लेडी जो काम करती है ऑफिस एनवायरनमेंट में उस समय उसका जो इफेक्ट होगा सेकेंड हैंड स्मोकिंग के जरिए, वो किस तरह से उसको सेफ्टी उसका जो प्रोटेक्शन किस तरह से उसको वर्क प्लेस में दिया जा सकता है. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली कहीं किसी भी लॉ में किसी भी ह्यूमन राइट इंस्ट्रूमेंट में जो वुमेन्स का जो राइट टू हेल्थ है उसको होम एनवायरनमेंट में कैसे इंश्योर किया जा सकता है इसके बारे में कहीं भी कोई डिस्कशन नहीं हुआ है. एक केस स्टडी के बारे में आप लोगों को मैं बताना चाहूंगी. देयर वाज वन जजमेंट एक्चुअली मुरली एस देवरा वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया एंड अदर्स. वो जजमेंट आई थी 2001 में. उसी में राइट टू लाइफ गारंटेड अंडर आर्टिकल 21 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, उसी के ऊपर जब चर्चा हुई तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने रिकॉग्नाइज किया था कि द हार्मफुल इफेक्ट्स ऑफ स्मोकिंग इन पब्लिक प्लेसेस एंड ऑल्सो द इफेक्ट ऑन नॉन स्मोकर्स हु आर हेल्पलेस विक्टिम्स ऑफ टॉक्सिक एयर पोल्यूशन कॉज्ड बाय स्मोकिंग. सो इसी जजमेंट के बाद अब सभी को पता होगा कि 2001 के बाद ये जो लॉ आया था कटपा, जिसके बारे में हमने शुरू में ही डिस्कशन किया था, वो 2003 में आई थी. उस लॉ के बाद पब्लिक प्लेसेस में एंटायरली स्मोकिंग को बैन किया गया था. एंड स्पेशली जो हॉस्पिटल्स, स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस और इसी एरिया में मोस्टली कंप्लीट बैन हुआ था. एयरपोर्ट एंड होटल्स में लिमिटेड एरिया में उसको अलाउ किया गया था विथ रेस्ट्रिक्शंस. सो इसी की वजह से जो बैन अभी पब्लिकली हम देख रहे हैं, हालांकि वो इतना स्ट्रिक्टली इम्पोज नहीं है, और उसके ऊपर सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि अभी तक सिर्फ 200 रुपीज की फाइन है, और वो फाइन इतने मिनिमम है, कोई स्मोक करके शायद इंस्टेंटली उसी टाइम वो पैसे
पूर्णिमा जी, हमें पता है लॉज तो बने हुए हैं, टीथ नहीं है उसमें, टीथ नहीं है, लेकिन हमें ये जो केस है हमें ये जानना है कि अगर इस लेडी हैज मैरिड समबडी और उनको पता नहीं है, वो करे क्या?
हाँ, डॉक्टर रीना, एक्चुअली मैं उसी के ऊपर आना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि इंटरनेशनल जो ह्यूमन राइट्स है उसको बहुत स्पेसिफिक नहीं किया गया है. वुमेन स्पेसिफिक तो हुआ है, मगर स्मोकिंग को उसमें स्पेसिफिक मेंशन करके कि ये भी वुमेन को इसके अगेंस्ट में भी प्रोटेक्शन दिया जाए, ताकि वो वुमेन जो है वो उसका रिप्रोडक्टिव राइट जो है वो इंश्योर किया जाए. तो ये चीजों को स्पेसिफिक मेंशन नहीं किया गया है कहीं भी. तो इसी के लिए मैं कह रही हूँ जो राइट हमारे कंट्री में जो लॉ है वो हिंदू जो मैरिज एक्ट है या स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट है और उसके साथ साथ डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट है। तो दोनों एक्ट में इसको थोड़ा मोर इलेबोरेटली मैं डिस्कशन करना चाहती थी। एक्चुअली मैं इंटरनेशनल ह्यूमन राइट से शुरू करी उसको। उसके बाद होता है कि जो ग्राउंड्स ऑफ डिवोर्स होता है हमारे हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट में या स्पेसिफिक मैरिज एक्ट में भी दूसरा प्रोविजंस है, उसमें मेंटल क्रुएल्टी को एक एंगल बनाया गया है, एक लॉ बनाया गया है कि इट कैन बी ए ग्राउंड फॉर डिवोर्स। सो मेंटल क्रुएल्टी को भी ज्यादा इलेबोरेटली आगे डिफाइन की गई है। इफ anybody wants to shout divorce, then mental cruelty में जो habit of chewing tobacco can be a ground, although it cannot be a sole ground। इसको एक sole ground की तरह माना नहीं गया है, मगर mental cruelty जो divorce के लिए ground होती है उसमें chewing tobacco of the partner's habit उसको एक ground माना जा सकता है। दूसरा है कि डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट जो हमारा है उसमें सेक्शन 3 में एक बात कही गई है कि राइट टू जो शेल्टर है वो एक मैरिज के बाद एक फीमेल को उसके हस्बैंड के साथ रहने को परमिशन दिया जाता है या उसका राइट बनती है। उस राइट में उसको वायलेंस फ्री एक एनवायरनमेंट देने की बात की गई है। वो वायलेंस को भी फर्दर डिफाइन किया गया है, फिजिकल वायलेंस एंड मेंटल वायलेंस। फिजिकल वायलेंस में यदि स्मोकिंग या कोई भी जो एडिक्टिव प्रॉब्लम होता है उसके साथ वो अपनी पार्टनर के साथ किसी भी तरह का फिजिकल या मेंटल अब्यूज करता है, सो उसके अगेंस्ट में उसको प्रोटेक्शन मिल सकती है यदि वो कोर्ट में वो पिटीशन डाले तो। उसके साथ साथ एक और भी बात है कि just a second, I have to go to the slide. Actually, it is not shared on the screen, so just a second. So डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट में जो मेंटल क्रुएल्टी की बात कही गई है या फिजिकल वायलेंस की बात कही गई है, यदि किसी पार्टनर ने किसी प्रकार का जो एडिक्टिव सब्सटेंस होता है उसको यूज करके अपने पार्टनर के साथ, अपनी वाइफ के साथ किसी भी तरह का अब्यूज करता है मेंटल या फिजिकल, उसके अगेंस्ट में उसको प्रोटेक्शन कोर्ट के थ्रू भी मिल सकती है।
So we find that thank you so much Purnima ji, लेकिन हमें ये समझ में आ रहा है कि ये laws जो है ना टाइट नहीं है, they are not watertight.
No, there is no such.
They are not watertight, so there is nothing. So it leaves the woman pretty let's say alone. So I think the one thing that we have to do is empower women, get them educated, maybe convince the husband, get a better should be able to talk as a tobacco marshal, speak to the husband and get the husband's consent and start moving towards tobacco cessation and for a healthier life for herself, a more peaceful, a more greener, cleaner, mentally and emotionally stable and physically happy life. Because I see that even psychological safety is not really involved in this. Though we talk so many big things about inclusion and psychological safety, when it comes to the woman at home, she is left not really protected. That's what यही मुझे समझ में आ रही है.
There is no protection. Protection cannot be guaranteed through the law so far. मगर उसको एक यदि कोई पर्सन कंटिन्यूअसली उसके वजह से अब्यूज हो रहा है डोमेस्टिक एरिया में, तो उस कंडीशन में यदि उसको लॉ की हेल्प चाहिए तो वो क्रुएल्टी, मेंटल क्रुएल्टी के जो ग्राउंड होता है उसी को लेके पिटीशन डाल सकती है।
लेकिन पूर्णिमा जी वो सोल ग्राउंड नहीं हो सकती है।
It is not soul ground. Sorry,
so it is as good as non-existent. As good as non-existent where we are concerned. So we still have a lot to work. So I think instead of looking at the law first, let us look at what we can do for our women, because we as women have to do something for women, taking the men along with us to get their help, and so that we empower each and every one of them to make a better, cleaner, better world for our children and our life ahead. So now I have the utmost pleasure in inviting somebody who is very special. And she is one of our first marshals in the country. She is Mrs. Pravesh Singh. And Pravesh ji, welcome. And congratulations once again for everything that you have achieved and still achieving. And I'm sure you have very big dreams. So at this minute, my question to you is empowering women, the marshal. So now is tobacco control a responsibility of women? आपने बहुत सारी चर्चा सुने हैं, बहुत सारे दिल के तार भी छेड़े होंगे. So आप मुझे बताइए, क्योंकि मैं नहीं बोलूंगी वो बातें जो मुझे पता है, लेकिन tobacco control, is it a responsibility of women, and can she be empowered and can she be successful if she is empowered in making her husband tobacco free?
Thank you so much, ma'am, and greetings to everyone present over here. And this International Women's Day has its own importance in empowering women in all the dimensions. And this is a very special day on which we commemorate the achievement and socio-economic status of women. And here today, the theme of celebrating the day is Save the Youth, Be a Tobacco Marshal. And I would say it is a need of hour. Now, coming to the question that this is the responsibility of women. So, as per my perspective, being a responsible citizen, it is not only the responsibility of women itself, but the responsibility of both men and women, as both complement each other. But yes, women can significantly create a powerful impact on society against the menace of tobacco. As we all know that women are the pillars of the home and society, and it only follows that an educated, enlightened and empowered woman means that the society and country will be educated and empowered. And moreover, education to women and girls cannot be negotiated. But the thing is, how we will do this? So for that, we need to understand that how the women are affected from the dire implications of tobacco outrage. Because women is the most sufferer of this outrage as a victim as well as a consumer. Victim in the sense of second-hand smoke, they are exposed to smoke at home or at the workplace. On the other hand, in this modern world, where women are breaking all the boundaries, they are standing parallelly to men and adopting the corporate culture. Due to that, rate of indulging women in smoke is increasing at a very high rate as compared to men. So these consequences of being exposed to tobacco leads to various health related to disease that women can have. और एक कहावत है कि तन स्वस्थ तो मन स्वस्थ, लेकिन ये होगा कैसे? हम कहीं भी देखते हैं there is a direct expose, कहीं direct expose है तो कहीं indirect expose है. This demon is chasing women from all the sides. So I think if women are empowered and equipped with right knowledge about the ill effect of tobacco, if it will be done, then women has the power of bringing the transformation in society, and they can strongly put up their opinion and takes decision with full conviction. And why I can strongly say this, because being a tobacco marshal and also associated with Club Ek Prayas, and when I talk in detail about the club while performing all the activities in the club, that this club has this vision and how this vision can be accomplished. The various activities when we discuss with our faculty members or with the students, then I got the response like that कि कई लोग अपनी problem discuss करते हैं मेरे साथ. तो जब वो problem discuss करते हैं, they want to attach themselves with this vision, but they do not have the solution of that problem. They want the solution of that problem, but they do not have that platform from where they can easily get the solution. This is the basic problem we are facing, because if we have the platform where we can approach, then I think this problem has the solution, or we can have a tobacco-free society. And I think this can be accomplished by creating tobacco marshals, so that the solution of the problem can be easily approachable. And the answer to the second question, that yes, she can be empowered. But for that, we need to tell them only the answers of 3 questions with full conviction. That is, what is tobacco marshal, why is tobacco marshal, and how tobacco marshal will able to accomplish all these things by putting certain live examples. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Praveshji. It's always a pleasure hearing you and all that you are trying to do and have been doing. And my good wishes and all our best wishes are with you. So what is very important is what we have all heard is educate a woman, or give a work, empower a woman, and the whole livelihood and the whole status of that family changes. I think the same holds for tobacco. So if you empower a woman in the house, the mother, the lady, the daughter, the level, especially the wife, the spouse in the family, then everything changes in that family. The attitude changes, the behavior changes, the way, because she is not going to nag. A tobacco marshal is not going to nag. A tobacco marshal is going to talk with conviction, with scientific knowledge, and with a certain amount of composure, which, you know, stands by and informs the other person, well, we have somebody to reckon with over here. So that is how it is. And thank you so much. And it's a pleasure for me to invite somebody. Shruti is not coming? All right. So we will close it with requesting Dr. Meera. But before I do that, I really would like that as women, we are all women here today, as women and girls, we bear the burden of tobacco use and abuse. And we are, you know, as Dr. Sudan has told us, that women can be the power changers, the drivers of this and the change makers. So for driving this change in knowledge, attitude, and breaking the bias in tobacco control and tobacco cessation. So join us in celebrating all the ways women and girls are taking informed action at all levels and elevate their voices. Let us help elevate their voices as tobacco marshals, the empowered women of tomorrow. I invite Dr. Meera. Before that, I thank each and every participant here, every one of my esteemed panelists who have been so amazing. I have learned so much from all of you, and we have all deliberated and we have come to the conclusion, which I'm sure Dr. Meera would have gathered, and she would communicate to all of us very beautifully. Dr. Meera.
Dr. Reena, as you are concluding, I'm getting desperate. Can I get just 2-line question, please?
Why will you not get? But then let us just finish this and then we will get into the open. Yes,
I was
please,
getting so desperate by the conclusion of the panel discussion. Thank you so much. I have got a lot of insight here. It always amazes me that the tobacco sellers have access to the remotest corner of India. But we do not. The healthcare personnel, the people who are the influencers, they do not have. So probably, as Dr. Shalini was speaking of earlier, we really need to, and Ms. Panda has already emphasized that there are no leakage proof, rather no laws at all for tobacco cessation. So we need to have the people, and we have to create awareness, but we need to go to the last chain, the last place where the tobacco seller can go, and that is the place we need to go, and that is the idea behind Tobacco Marshals. And as Ms. Sehgal is doing, the same way we had to do. And there was another, and this is what Dr. Sunila had also mentioned about polio unmoolan. So I guess the way when we see any child or even a puppy for that matter, we ask vaccination hua. So the same way, we have to get it into our DNA to talk about tobacco. I think we have to tell all the students, and because we have such great people here who are the influencers actually. And there was one more question, ma'am, Dr. Shalini, and because you are the policy makers, Dr. Sunila, Dr. Smita, you are the influencer. Right from class 3, children are taught about reproductive system. And there was a question कि woman चुप करके दवा दे रही है, वो चुप करके इसलिए दे रही है because even amongst the educated lot, I'm a gynecologist. I have personally seen women talking and men rubbishing them off. So कई बार बच्चों का ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस आता है and daughters बड़ी लाडली होती हैं. Papa, I know a person, alcohol addict.
Dr. Manisha, I am sure you have lots of wonderful things to say, but this is a
I was asking her, can we incorporate it not at the medical college level, right from the children level? This was just a food for thought. And
I think Dr. Sumita put that in, that we have to really start, and I think at the school teachers level, that is where we come in, where we say that every tobacco marshal has to be, every school teacher has to be a tobacco marshal, every high school person should be a tobacco marshal, every lady. So that's how it is, that this inculcation has to be there, and where you're so rightly put it. And thank you so much. Thank you once again to all our esteemed panelists, our guests who have been there as wonderful listeners, and for all of us together who have learned so much and deliberated. And I now leave the dais to Dr. Meera. Dr. Meera, I request you to conclude the panel discussion with your comments, please. Dr. Meera, you need to unmute, please.
Thank you, Reena. I think I have very patiently and very carefully listened to everyone talking, and there are some beautiful and some wonderful and some useful clues that I got today from some of the people. But I was looking for things like, what is it that makes women continue, for example, chewing tobacco, even when she is told that it harms her in different ways, it gives her this disease and that disease, and it makes her look very different. People don't like to talk to her and all that. What is it? Why is it that she sticks to it? And that is what I was looking for from Shalini, to tell me, what is it that the woman who is chewing tobacco wants to continue chewing tobacco. I did a little study with 7 domestic servants in which they were all chewing, and some of them told me that they chew tobacco in order to counter the assault from their husband. Now, I don't think you have heard much about it. She told me a story and she said that, my husband comes home and he wants to beat me up and wants to take all the money that I have. I have no way of defending myself. So I go to the kitchen and I open up the little pottery that I have and I start chewing tobacco. And I was looking for something like that, some enlightenment as to what is it which makes women, continue to chew tobacco. At the same time, as a behavioral scientist, I know what is it or how is it, how can you change anyone. And I just want to say it in very brief that there are 4 elements in this behavior change therapy. That first of all, you have to know that the person understands how tobacco is bad for that person, whether it is bad in health, whether it is bad in mental health, whether it is bad in physical health, or in what way it is bad. And that you cannot do just by lecturing the person. You have to find out what are the deficits in his knowledge, and you have to fill all those deficits. And when that person becomes knowledgeable, that is the first step to give it up. Now, that is not the only thing. There could be a person who knows a lot about tobacco, how harmful it is, how bad it is, how unbeautifying it is, and yet he continues. And that is, he lacks what some of the women here had said, motivation. He has the knowledge, but he doesn't have the motivation. Now, there are people who have got both knowledge and motivation, and yet they cannot give it up. And they come to you, they go to the therapist, or they go to the counselor or the psychiatrist and say that I don't know how to give it up. I know that it is bad. I am really motivated. I want to give it up because I know that it is annoying for everyone. So I need the methodology to give it up. And the 4th element in the behavior model is the enabling environment. And I think in India we have the wonderful COTPA, even though it may not have all the things that we want in the COTPA, but still we have the enabling environment. So all the 4 things have to be in place for us to really be able to help anyone to give it up. And that is why I was also asking, how do these marshals work? Do they work based on certain understanding of the person, or they just want to, tell what they think is right and they try to persuade them to give it up? So these are some of the few things that I wanted to say. And then there was another thing which I think that is very important, is that you might have all the knowledge, you might have all the motivation, and yet you might lack that little thing which you need in order to cross that and then give it out. And that might be a statement by somebody who has really touched your heart why, it is bad for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Meera. Thank you so much. And I think you said it so right. And yes, the tobacco marshals have to be educated. These women at every level, as Dr. Manisha said, right from the urban, all the way down to the rural, all the way down to the grassroots, every person has to be educated to speak the correct language in the correct way with proper deep knowledge of, and also to understand what is the reason why the person, as you said, rightly is why did he or she start? What is the reason he or she is not giving up? And what is the reason that he or she is constantly again reaching back to it despite trying to? So that is where the tobacco marshal comes in as a very great influencer in society who's going to be doing the right conversation with empowerment. And today on Women's Day, this is where we say, let's join hands, because let us all just grow together, because that is the way ahead that we can take it to break the bias in society, in community, in workplaces, in our homes, and everywhere else. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Dr. Meera, as you've been a wonderful chairperson. I have learned so much. And thank you, ICanCaRe team, and thank you everybody for giving me this opportunity to conduct this this particular panel discussion on this very momentous occasion of the World on the International Women's Day. Thank you so much.
You have done a fabulous job. You have done a fabulous job.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish.
Well, we come to the end of the panel discussion. Thank you so much, our dear panelists, for having this qualified discussion. We'll quickly have a couple of words from our honored guests so far, so that we conclude the session, and then we'll open it for open house. So the message is very clear that social acceptance, the custom of acceptance of tobacco has to turn into an outrage. Everyone has to really stop that it is harmful, and we have to really create an impact. That's how we are going to bring about the change in the society. So well-planned interventions are required, as summarized by the panelists, that it is important that we have each and everything in place. The enforcements are in place. The policymakers are doing a beautiful job. But enforcement in the country is very important. Clinical intervention is absolutely important. Sensitization of the youth at the very grassroots level with the teachers, with the college students, intervention at the corporate level, everything is important, and we also part to curb the menace of tobacco altogether. Now I'm very much privileged that after this wonderful panel discussion, I invite Dr. Amit Garg, who is the guest of honor for the day, director of the KITE Group of Institutions, Honorable B, who holds B in Mechanical Engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, has more than 36 years of enlightening experience in the academia and industry, known for leading changes in various organizations, and of course my favorite, because I would love to go back to college to have such a such a wonderful director and learn from his vision and foresightedness. Over to you, sir, for your kind words.
Thank you. Thank you. Am I audible, please? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir. Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Namaskar and very good evening to all of you. Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji, President SIPHER, Dr. Pawan Gupta ji, founder ICanCaRe. So many supporting organizations which I can see today, and all the program coordinators. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for inviting me for this event. It has been a pleasure to attend this workshop on empowering women against tobacco outrage. I consumed every bit of information which came from a lot of deliberations of various speakers, and I must compliment all of you for an excellent work which is being done in various domains. And I can see a lot of excitement among the participants because a lot of questions are coming up. Thank you for all this. Now, I would be brief and just coming to a few points which I wanted to convey. First is that the tobacco industry is flourishing. Now, I was reading somewhere, and I find that almost 1 lakh children per day are getting added to the tobacco consumption.
Now, the reason for the increase in the tobacco consumption is probably tobacco companies are getting lots of investment by other investment companies. That could be one of the possible reasons. But whatever said and done, the UN, the entire world is looking at in the form of Sustainable Development Goal 3, that good health and well-being has to be there for all by 2030. All of us have to ensure a very healthy life, and we have to promote a well-being for all ages. Now, in that, I find that the Sustainable Development Goal 17, which calls for partnership for the goals, That partnership I see today at this forum. In a lot of organizations, they are ready to partner to ensure that society becomes tobacco free. So my heartiest compliments and congratulations to the organizers and all the participating organizations. I'll quickly cover a few points pertaining to the educational institutions, since I'm into the educational role now for last several years. Now, I also see that tobacco menace is there in the institutions, and we see it very clearly where the hostels are there. The boys, the girls, and even the girls, we find that there is a lot of increase in the tobacco, in the cigarette smoking. Another very disturbing trend, what we find, is the use of marijuana and the drugs. The consumption is on the rise. It starts with an experience that it will give you a kick, and then you feel that you will be able to do a better multitasking, and then we can leave it. We are so confident now. We are starting it because we need it, but then we can leave it whenever we want it. But then all of us know that it's very difficult to leave. Once you get into a thing, then it's very difficult to leave. I very fondly say that every smoker, who is smoking cigarettes, every smoker wants to quit. He's just lighting a cigarette just because he enjoys that talab, that kind of addiction, what he enjoys. That he enjoys only for a few initial smokes, a few initial puffs. After that, you would see that lots and lots of people, they just do not consume the whole cigarette. They just want to leave it because that kick what they were looking for initially, that they get in the initial few puffs. So I always encourage students, and I tell them that you have to quit it. I mean, you have to get educated, that you don't have to get into the prey of this. But the best thing is that earlier you leave it, better it is. And you can leave it earlier, because the more you delay in your life, your age catches up, it's very difficult to leave it. Now, I'm very happy to say that the first Tobacco Marshal of the country is Dr. Pravesh Singh is on the panel, and she happens to be a part of the institution. I share the institution with her, and we together are working in a manner to increase this awareness to a large extent. We have created a large number of faculty and student marshals in the campus, and also a student club has been created. Now, I'm finding it that what is more important today, rather than creating these clubs, that is the first step, but we need to hold the events very frequently in the campuses, because the time is at a premium with everyone, especially the students. Once you talk to them, they consume it well, but then it needs to be repeated. The information needs to be seen. It needs to be heard very frequently. That is a very important point, and that is what we are working in the institution, in our institution, that more and more events. In fact, we make a calendar. We make a 6-monthly calendar for this particular club, and a lot of activities, a lot of actions are taking place for everybody to understand what kind of a thing can be done. And we want to say that even if you catch this habit, you, with the help of the structured approach of ICanCaRe, I can see, it can help you to come out of this addiction. That is also needs to be told to the students. It will give them a lot of confidence. Now, we, along with Dr. Pavan Gupta, we are taking these efforts in the education fraternity to a larger umbrella. I think few months back, I think about 6 months back, we had organized one such workshop, a webinar, where the chairman of AICT, All India Council of Technical Education, Dr. Sahasrabudhe himself was present there, and we had a good number of participation from the students and the faculty members all across India. So such exercises, such awareness, it needs to increase, and I think we have to work together on that. Because I remember Chairman AICT mentioned that this has to be taken forward, and we need to create a tobacco control policy. One of the panelists today mentioned, I really like that, the tobacco control policy needs to be formulated in the institutions. It is not there. Probably in the medical institutions it is there, but I find in most of the engineering institutions it is not there. And we need to proudly say and proudly print it in front of our institutions that our institutions are tobacco-free institutions. I think that is the time has come for that, and as a regulators, as a policymakers, as the leaders, it is the responsibility of each one of us to move towards these particular two aspects of creating the policy and also go for a tobacco-free institutions. I find a lot of committed and focused self-help groups here on the forum. I'm really impressed by the kind of work which is being done. Now, I would like to invite all the groups, is an open invitation that you must connect with the academic institutions, because the kind of a work which all of you are doing is not known to the institutions. And I think if you catch them young, if the students are caught young, if all the students are told about the wonderful work you are doing, I think it is going to deep root the kind of a work which is being done by your organizations within the institutions. I am very happy to share that we have got a student-driven NGO by the name of Uddeshya. The students, 18 years, 19 years students, they are pulling in money and they are going and help the students in the slums, in the nearby areas. They are going and educating the parents that you must put your children into the schools. And also they are voluntarily contributing the blood. Anywhere the call coming from in Delhi NCR, the students are moving there on their own expenses. So that kind of a work is being done by this set of students. So I would like to encourage partnership. This is the encouraging partnership in the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goal 17. I think all of us, we need to collaborate more, and all of us can create a lot of wonderful opportunities and wonderful awareness for everyone, so that more and more good can be done to the society. Another small thing I wanted to mention, that we are the academic institutions and we are we are known for doing a good research and also address the problems what you are facing. Now, in the area of tobacco control, in the area of health and so many things, like to mention a small little prototype development which we are undertaking. In one of the similar seminars, I think some of you would be aware that there is a congenital defect of cleft lip and palate, where the children are born with these abnormalities. There is the lip is in two parts and also the palate is not united. Now, when the surgeons operate such children, they are not able to see the mouth clearly. The young children, about I think 6 months to 1 year, where the first surgery is done of such children. Now, when the surgeon is trying to operate, they are not able to see because there is not sufficient light inside and there is no mechanism to capture the images inside. So some of our students, they came to know about this, and they are now trying to make a small little device which can be moved inside the mouth, and the entire and large view of the operation activities can be seen onto the laptop and also on a bigger screen. So that kind of a work is going on in our institution. So I invite all the self-help groups, any such problems which you are facing, or if you come to know that these are the challenges which are faced by the society, let us collaborate. The student power, they are far ahead than us. They are so efficient, I find, that they can devote time, they can devote so much of their energy, and they can find the solutions to the problem what we probably need to tell them. That's all we need to tell them, and they'll be able to solve the problems. So this is what I wanted to say. I know that we all are running against time, and I'm sure that lots of participants, including me, they would have got enlightened on this very, very important workshop on empowering women against the tobacco outrage. Thank you once again. And on this particular day of International Women's Day, I take this opportunity to salute all the women and the womanhood who have touched our lives in numerous ways. Happy International Women's Day to all, and especially all the women and girls who are present here on this forum today. Thanks once again for making me a part of this event, and best wishes to all. Namaskar and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much. I think that was so full of inspiration, so awe-inspiring. मतलब आपका जो research चल रहा है, that is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure a lot of self-help groups, including ours, would be very much willing to join hands with the institution, educational institutions, especially to really cater to the real-time problems and bring out the best of it. Really, absolutely laudable and appreciable. Big round of applause, audience, for the kind of work that Amit sir has been taking care of under his leadership in the institute. Now, to move ahead, I'll invite Dr. Deepika Sharma. She's senior consultant in the field of dentistry with more than 20 years of exclusive experience in the field, and has been a woman with enormous vitality, positivity, and enthusiasm. She has taken this initiative to have the pledge by people and women all around that who have taken and promised, yes, they're going to be the tobacco marshals, the leaders of tobacco control in the coming days to come forward. So I invite, before I play the video, I just invite ma'am for a few words quickly, because we're running short of time. So I'll just request ma'am to be very brief, and then we move ahead with the video. Deepika ma'am, over to you. Ma'am, can't hear you. You need to please unmute yourself.
Thanks, Shruti, for inviting me. And I feel honored to be a part of ICanCaRe today. And few years back, when I started the school programs, I had an idea how to save the youth. I just had an idea and I started moving. I had a very little knowledge when I started sharing it with teachers and students. And on the way to this journey, I met Dr. Pavan sir, where he told that we can gain more knowledge, and together we started working together. And today, with so much of knowledge and awareness, I have started working together. We have started working together, and now we are encouraging more and more students and making them tobacco marshals. And it's a great day today, like for a women to stand, and we can create more tobacco marshals. So for the women, I would say that we should take a bold step. So be bold for a change. We can make more and more women to stand and create more tobacco marshals. Thank you. Thanks, Shruti.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that's the message. Be bold and be the tobacco marshals. I'm taking ahead to play the video.
I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see, from up here.
Okay, I'll share once. I think that's a lovely video which absolutely shows how well the marshals have taken this pledge to really build a tobacco-free society, and these are some of the RSD hospital who have taken yet another as a team that they're going to make the hospital premise, the city tobacco-free.
अच्छा नहीं नीचे उतरो
So now we come to the end of the session. So I'll quickly invite Manisha ma'am, our Director for Women's Health Initiative. She has more than 29 years of extensive experience for working for women's health, and by profession she is an obstetrician and gynecology herself. Ma'am, can you please give a word of thanks to conclude the event? Manisha ma'am?
Just a second. Yeah. Namaskar. Shruti, am I audible? There is some problem here. Yeah?
Yeah, ma'am. Now you're audible.
Okay, that's great. So, namaskar once again, esteemed guests, my learned panelists, and all who have joined us in this noble crusade. A very, very heartfelt thank you to all at the outset. I'm honored to present the vote of thanks today in this one-of-a-kind event, the International Women's Day 2022. एक नहीं दो मात्राएं नारी नर से भारी. I've always loved these lines, and I'm so glad that this has been accepted conceptually, and that is why I think very aptly the baton has been passed to the women to fight against the tobacco outrage. So I'm so happy, and I'm pretty sure that this event will be a milestone in the tobacco cessation campaign. We have been immensely fortunate to have with us Ms. Preeti Sudan, former Secretary to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare with us today. Madam had been instrumental in imposing ban on e-cigarettes. I'm sure her presence would be motivating our women more and more to fight this crusade. Thank you so much, ma'am. I heartily thank our guest of honor, Dr. Amit Garg, sir, Director, Kids Group of Institutions, not only for being with us today and inspiring us, but also for his looming presence in the world of technological education. Not only that, he is also coupling that with grooming of socially conscious and very active leaders of tomorrow. Sir, as you said in your speech, this doesn't have to be a one-time event, one-off event. It has to be a continuous, ongoing process. Only then we can achieve some result. Thank you so much, sir. My special thanks to Dr. Meera Agi ma'am for sharing the panel discussion. Madam, your inspiring work in behavior modulation for tobacco cessation programs shall be our guiding light. And we salute your passion and vision. And yes, you have introduced us to so many aspects. Rightly said, knowing is not enough. We have to work on it. Thank you so much, ma'am. My heartfelt gratitude to Professor Rajendra Gupta, founder, Health Parliament. Shruti, do we have Professor Gupta with us here?
No, not right now.
Okay. So Professor Gupta strongly believes in women health as a priority for change. And yes, sir is not here, but on behalf of all the women whom we have addressed today, I can surely say that the women force, the Durga Vahini ki बिल्कुल तंबाकू असुर मर्दिनी की तरीके से ही काम करेंगी तो दुर्गा वाहिनी ही तंबाकू असुर मर्दिनी भी बन जाएंगी. Now that you have passed the baton to us, I have a very smiling persona there, Shruti, and yes, the baton is with us and we are going to do it. Thank you so much, sir. My sincere thanks to Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President and Director of Public Health SIPHER, for your solid support to this endeavor of ICanCaRe. Sir, your keen and active interest in the minutest of details during the workup process is highly, highly encouraging, and we look forward to your guidance in future also. A big thank you to Mrs. Sonal Bhatia. Madam, the dynamic chairperson of Inner Wheel District 310, a proud tobacco marshal herself, we are thankful for our wholehearted support to all the endeavors of ICanCaRe. We look forward to more and more of Inner Wheel Club participating here, and you will be the inspiration here. Thank you so much. I'm told Dr. G.K. Rath sir is here. Thank you so much, sir, for your benign presence along with your team. And now the hosts who have been the pillar of this program, the concept. I can't thank enough the man behind this massive campaign, my motivator, my propeller, Dr. Pavan Gupta, for sharing his dream of tobacco-free India with everyone. And now, putting women at the forefront. Sir, you are a true visionary. You know where the major impact will come from. Thank you so much for conceptualizing this program, associating Women's Day with the Tobacco Marshals. Thank you so much. My thanks and kudos to our moderator, Dr. Reena Kumar, for conducting a power-packed discussion, and also, madam, for your passion. I know Dr. Reena Kumar personally. She's very passionate about training and empowering innumerable tobacco session experts, and I'm pretty sure, well, with women coming forward, your efforts will be bearing fruits. I thank with folded hands all our learned panelists from various streams and specialities who have spared their valuable time to be with us today in a scintillating discussion. Many issues which we were thinking about have been cleared with your. Hoping to interact with you in future again and again and again. Thank you, Team ICanCaRe, who have worked tirelessly to give shape to this program. And thank you once again, Shruti, for your enthusiasm and your dedication is infectious. And this is a propeller for all. I believe most of the people here would go with a pledge to be a tobacco marshal. Pretty sure about that. Last but not the least, I offer my gratitude to all the attendees who have been with us in this unique beginning, empowering women to manage tobacco war. And there are lots of Inner Wheel members across the country. Then we have, I believe there are RWA groups also, like JP Bishtown, I was told with Dr. So many people who have really spent their time on a Sunday, and I'm sure they have all pledged themselves to bring awakening in the society at the remotest corner. So at the end, I think I can justifiably say, on behalf of all the women on the podium, I mean the meeting, and others who will be coming up, na ruke hain na rukenge, na ruke hain na rukenge, और तंबाकू का नामो निशान मिटा के रहेंगे हम। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम। आई थिंक दैट वाज इतना अच्छा वर्ड ऑफ थैंक्स तो मुझे सीखना पड़ेगा कैसे देखा है, सबको कवर कर देना। आई थिंक nobody is left out. This is beautiful video. I am sorry I just missed out on this video. It's done by the KITE students there and it's a lovely one, very inspiring.
everyone. As we all know that the tobacco epidemic is one of the biggest health threats that the world has ever faced, killing more than 8 million people around the world. Cigarette smoking is the most common form of tobacco. Studies show that very few people understand the specific health risks of tobacco. However, when smokers become aware of the dangers of tobacco, most want to quit. So, let's aware.
I think what a lovely message, what a beautiful message by the team. I think hats off, a big round of applause for the team of KITE. Wonderfully done. And let me now take, we have been talking about the Tobacco Marshals since such a long time. Who is a marshal? They're the person, change leaders who actually begin motivating a person to quit the habit, to leading tobacco control in the society. आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे मेरे screen पे this acronym is available. This is going to be there on the community page. This is going to be there everywhere on the website with you on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. So Marshall का बहुत importance है, बहुत अहमियत है because they have been striving at the grassroots levels to really bring about that change. You have seen the iron example of Mrs. Pravesh Singh. She's dedicatedly worked to help her husband quit the habit, is working tirelessly with the director, Dr. Garg, to make a tobacco-free institute. Another prudent example of from Innerville itself, from Jaipur, Mrs. Swarnata Modi. She was one of the tobacco marshals herself and really have worked down to create a lot of mass awareness, especially in the rural areas and the government schools, ताकि बच्चे वहाँ से शुरुआत ना करें और females अपने parents को help करें कि वो tobacco को छोड़ें, smoking को छोड़ें. Another example from yet another professor from Mumbai. She is also a professor and she had organized a cycling rally in the month of January in 2021, right after she became tobacco marshal. So empowered with knowledge, so empowered with a lot of help from this program. कि उन्होंने एक cycling rally organized with Rotary Club of Panvel Mahanagar and it was beautifully done across with a lot of sensitization and awareness. Now, how do you become a marshal? Let's quickly see. Very simple 4 steps. Register yourself on the website. The link is available. I'm going to post it on the chat box also. Empower and learn with the faculty about the 8 R's principle of tobacco, how to communicate, how to respond, how to have the rules in place, the regulations in place. Then have yourself equipped with all the resources which you require to speak and to help someone quit the habit or to actually work with the policymakers to really enforce those policies and ultimately lead the change, bring that impact by creating a lot of campaigns, having mass sensitization sessions, digital campaigns. Of course, we're always there. The self-help group is always there. ICanCaRe is always there for support to really bring out that impact in the society. Now, how do we do this? What is the validation of this tobacco marshal? They are the ones who create sensitizations to save the youth from initiation, encourage and motivate individuals to quit, propagate negative attitudes towards those who are smoking, and ensure that the harms of second hand and third hand are known to individuals and they save themselves, increase support for policy change, and bring out the best of the Lord, bring out more patrons who can really work together to create that difference, to create that impact. This is what you get as part of the marshals. These are the resources which help you equip yourself so that you can really have all the arms and ammunition, all the tools at your disposal with which you can create this impact. And I'm very happy that Innerville District 310 has taken up target 1,000. I'm sure I'll invite more of such groups. So let's make 1 lakh marshals. Let's really boil the country with tobacco controllers so that we can make an actual impact on the ground level. This is the helpline for all of you to take care and support. And I invite at the end, please join the ICanCaRe community so that we can have one voice. We can share our opinions, we can share our ideas and work upon them, materialize it, enforce it, and to build a tobacco-free community. That's all from it, from our end, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being a lovely audience. We now open the forum for question and answer. We'll take 5 minutes please, for the questions to be discussed with the panelists. And if anybody would like to have any comments or compliments, you're free to do so.
As we open up the discussion, I think Sonal ma'am had been raising her hands quite often, but somehow we have been, she did not get the opportunity. Sonal ma'am, please go ahead and.
सर जैसा कि इसमें बताया गया कि हमें जो मेडिसिन है उसको हमें छुप के नहीं देनी चाहिए, तो क्या करें इफ द चाइल्ड इज नॉट लिस्निंग टू हिज पेरेंट्स और उसको पता है कि टोबैको एंड ड्रग्स इज वेरी इंजूरियस टू हेल्थ.
Yeah, so if in the panel, Rakesh sir, Shalini ma'am, Shalini Singh, she is there, and if others are there in the panel, they would like to answer.
Child is not listening to the family.
Yeah, I think Shalini madam can answer to this question, though maybe unethical, but people, they are doing it.
No, see, it is not going to work. Giving hidden medicines is not going to work. Actually, it may cause toxicity. It is a behavioral change that is required, right? It's a behavioral change that is required, and everything can change with dialogue, with discussion. Right way of approach, and that is what we teach during our Tobacco Marshal course. That how to approach such situations, how to approach such child, how to approach the students when the person, how to approach the husband, right? When the person is not, punishment is not the way. It is only dialogue. It is, you will just sit down with him and he will go ahead and do it. We will have to understand what are the roadblocks, why he is not ready to quit, what is happening in his life. There have been situations when we have discussed with the child, 18-year-old child who came, whose parents brought him that he was smoking. His parents brought him to me, and the fact was that he was smoking not because of because he wanted to smoke, but because he wanted to get attention of the child, of the parents. Where the parents were working parents and they had no time for the child. So he was so happy that at least they gave him some time to bring to on that day at least they had spent that whole day with him. So you see, we will have to work on that. We will have to understand the reason why the person is, why the person is smoking, and the dialogue is the discussion is the only way out. With that, we can only bring the behavioral change. We can't force anything. Nowadays, there is nothing to force. It is only emotional way of approach that matters.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
The child is not listening to his parents.
We may have to introduce a person who is non-judgmental and who can actually bring that thought process, the change in the thought process. So there may be a third person that may be required in that house, right? So that the parents, कई बार होता है parents का नहीं सुनता तो दूसरे का किसी का सुनेगा, कजिन का सुनेगा, किसी का सुनेगा.
कजन वगैरह अगर उसके पास जा रहे हैं, उसके पास जाते हैं उसको समझाने, तो आफ्टर दैट ही फाइट्स विथ हिज पेरेंट्स कि आपने उसके साथ डिस्कस ही क्यों किया.
नहीं, इसलिए तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, a person who is non-judgmental, कजिन वगैरह तो जजमेंटल हो गए ना, कजिन से जजमेंटल, they are looking a non-judgmental who is completely, मतलब who doesn't मतलब intervene into his life, or at least the person can feel confident to open up with that person. So that is how, see, I have actually, let me put it this way, Sonalji, I personally have visited number of houses of my friends whose children were taking tobacco, and I just, I went there just as a friend, and I just spoke to them, and believe me, they have come forward to quit tobacco, right? And they have quit tobacco. So there will be.
They have also enrolled in this course.
Yeah,
Definitely. Have also enrolled in this course.
Yeah. So definitely we will have to work it out. And I think there are challenges which needs to be answered. There are challenges which still do not have any answers right now. As we keep on growing, we will get answers, and we will see more and more people. When agar bagal wala, if the neighbor stops smoking and he comes to know that someone has stopped smoking. See, the greatest challenge in the why a person wants to stop smoking is that he believes that he cannot stop. That is the greatest challenge. He believes that it is impossible to quit, and that is the biggest roadblock. So when we take that person to a trained certified tobacco cessation specialist, that makes a difference. So thank you so much. I think Dr. Shalini Singh has just left a message. I have to leave now. Thank you, ma'am, for being here, and it has been a great pleasure for you to be here, Dr. Shalini. And Sonal ma'am, hats off to you for your great ambition, and every one of your sheroes being part and being with you. That gives a lot of motivation and encouragement to all of us. So
thank you, sir.
If any of your sheroes want to say something, I welcome them, please. And I will request everyone, please, Rupa, please join the Facebook page so that we can be in connect. And it will just take 10 seconds to join. Just click on the link which I have shared on the chat box, and just join there, and just you can mention here you have joined. JOIN, you can write joined, and it will be a great pleasure to have you all on the Facebook, right? It will just take 10 seconds. We have got a lot of sheroes from here. Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Jyoti, for joining. Others who can be there: Shubhangi, Rajprit, Nitika, Anya, Richa, Manita, Dr. Beena, Nakshi, Tamij Harasi. That's a difficult name. Yeah, Jyoti, thank you. So please join in, and I look forward for everyone to be part of this massive program that we look forward. And let me put it, Tobacco Marshal, somewhere in the discussion it was there, Tobacco Marshal is just not by just giving a name. Tobacco Marshal is by empowerment. Tobacco Marshal is by learning the process. Tobacco Marshal is understanding how to approach a person. So that makes a difference. It is just not saying that, yes, I am a tobacco marshal, everyone is a tobacco marshal. No, there may be volunteers. Everyone's talk that, yes, tobacco is bad, but how bad it is, why bad it is, how to approach, what to do, that makes a tobacco marshal. And tobacco marshals are not same or not equivalent to common people. They have the power to change the society. So thank you. I can see a lot of people have joined. Kumkum Mathur, thank you so much. I would like to learn more about this. Yes, Jyoti, yes, we are there. Please be with us. And we have shared the number. We can always be there. So if anyone wants to say something, otherwise I think we will stop the webinar. It is already going to be 7. And I need to thank everyone for being here. And Sonal ma'am, Rakesh sir, any few words from your side?
I think it is one of the best consultations or the webinar I have attended. So congratulations, Dr. Pavan, and your excellent team. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us for this webinar and taking us and at all points you have been the means what you'll say, the empire of the whole program. So we may be, Shruti is the captain, but you are the empire.
Yeah, but they conducted it really well. Shruti, Reena, and you have all conducted it really well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you.
So I think we will stop here, and Pravesh ji, Sonal ma'am, and all the great thanks to all your sheroes for being here. And I'm sure we had a very huge participation today. We reached almost like 200, and so it was a great.
So we had 100 members joining us live on Facebook and YouTube also, along with the audience live here.
That's wonderful.
So it was more than 250, in fact. No? If you
yeah, absolutely. So because we had
Very nice session, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank you
all.
all. Have a great day ahead. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
the participation certificates will be sent out on email, and also marshals के regarding जो भी information है will also be shared on the email. So आप links check कर सकते हैं. You can contact me anytime if you want. If you need any kind of information, I've shared my number also on the group. So have a great day. Have a wonderful time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Bye.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations to you, ma'am. It was a wonderful participation from all your team. And I have to thank, we actually forgot to thank Shivani also. Shivani, are you there?
Yeah, she's
Shivani.
there. She's there. I think she left. She just left.
Okay.
But I must say, ma'am, आपके सभी जो शीरोज हैं बहुत
No, ma'am.
passionate and very, very enthusiastic.
So, surely we will attain our मतलब
We are. मतलब मुझे double energy आ गया, ma'am, to really strive out and work out because इतने सारे मैंने देखे जब मैं chat box में and also on Facebook and YouTube. So I was so inspired. इतना energy है to really bring about that change impact in the society. ना मतलब I think it's all from you. I think it's just contagious. आपका जो passion है ना that energy and it doesn't do something. It's just contagious. सबको infect कर दिया लग रहा है.
I have pinned a wonderful girl here. She's Shivani. She's Shivani, and she is taking care and she is coordinating with everyone for Tobacco Marshals. So for all the Shiros, all the presidents from Innerville Club.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the girl who has been talking to you. She is the girl who has been talking to you. Shivani, you want to say something?
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you so much. We can drop off. I think others who would like to drop off can drop off. It's just a normal casual chit chat from our end. I'm just stopping the recording. So members who would like to drop off are good to go. We are just done with the webinar. Thank you so much.
I think, ma'am, we will go ahead.
Yeah, we'll stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
हाँ, नीतिका मैम, आप लोग को कुछ बोलना है? प्रियंका, प्रियंका, प्रीति, विष्णु.